Demon Girl Tale of a Lax Demon Volume 2, Chapter 0. Whose dream is this? I notice that I'm in a strange place. The white stone of the building was decorated with precise workmanship. Things like a wood carving of a dragon and lion, painted in primary colors, have been lined up like in a shop. Various uncut shiny rocks have been piled carelessly. This place looks like some sort of art house exhibit. The material of the castle I'm in looks smooth, like glass. I see a horse-drawn carriage, humble, but made of gold. An elaborate chariot made of iron and rock. From the ceiling, a tapestry hung, woven out of golden thread. All alone, a pure, glossy white sphere thing sat. I don't know how I would use that vehicle. There are some obviously ancient things here, but also technology I'm unable to comprehend. In a nutshell, the timeline, places, and even laws of physics seem to be different for these random things that have been gathered and spread out along the streets in front of me. Also a department store. It was made of concrete, tiles, and glass. On top were colorful signs both in English and Japanese. Have I been summoned again? No. Was I reborn into this strange world? No. My hand still looks small and thin, touching my hair with my fingertips. It's disgustingly glossy and golden. The hair of a demon, as usual. I can tell I'm still wearing what I wore to bed, feeling the silky material of the sleepwear on my body. It seems to be night time, as there's a little moonlight shining from the sky. All the lights in the building in front of me are lit, but there are completely no signs of living creatures. To think there's such a random, stupid world. Yup, you guessed it. This is a dream. All of a sudden, I heard the sound of a voice behind me. Surprised, I looked behind me slowly. I'm not surprised. You certainly look surprised. The person, who looked like a man in his mid-20s, narrowed his eyes happily at my answer. He wore a black tailcoat. It was jet black, with no shine, not even a shadow. In the unfamiliar man's hair, a mix of pale indigo shines in the light. Looking at me with soft scarlet eyes, he snaps his fingers in an elaborate way. For the time being, would you like some tea? Without any light from the sky, the place we went was illuminated by spotlights. There were tables and chairs made of glass. A mannequin in a maid uniform and a human-sized stuffed toy rabbit were awkwardly brewing the tea. Thanks for the meal, he muttered when I sat face to face with him at the table. Ah, I understand now. It really must be a dream. However, it's amazing how handsome he is. Sex appeal and charm are pouring off of him. Seriously, my heart won't last, I mumbled out quietly. He heard it, though, and started laughing. It can't be helped. In a certain sense, we're brother and sister. Siblings? I'm a demon just like you. Yeah, Russia. Ah, I see. Yeah, Russia. The demon knows my name. I can't really concentrate in this place, so I didn't hear what else he said. Is it from my memories? Can you tell me your name? Well, I have a large variety of nicknames, since my first name is too long. He makes a thinking pose for a bit. Please call me Mephi for the time being. Mephi, a girl-like name. It's probably a nickname, I think. After Mephi has a sip of a crimson tea I don't recognize, he finally cuts to the chase. Tonight, I have come to have a conversation with Russia. With me? Yes. You're a very interesting thing to me. With all my traveling between worlds, you can't possibly appreciate the luck you have for me to meet with you. What is this world? As far as I can tell, this world is, as I said, a dream world made in a single night. Then, is this dream made by me or by you? I have no idea. I've been traveling for so long I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. A long journey, huh? I wonder if he gets lonely during the incredibly long travels. Finding me by chance, coincidentally speaking with me. Yeah, Russia, your very existence is fascinating. To create something like you, a lot of luck and time were necessary. Even if you say that, it's not your fault. There's no way this could be anything other than an impressive cheat, Mephi said with narrowed eyes as he laughed. Cheat? Hey, I say without thinking, I guess I'm the product of chance. Then more and more. His speech made my cat head tired. One piece of advice. A word? Make sure not to drown in your power. Don't get overconfident. Why is he saying such a scary thing? I haven't beaten nearly enough demons that I'd overestimate myself. I hope that when I see you again, you're still you. Why? Yup. I didn't understand why he said that, but nodded my head anyways. Staying me was my intention from the start. He stood up from the table, and, approaching slowly, he rested his hand on my forehead. Soon, it will be time to say farewell. Thank you for your company, Yerushia, he said, exclamation mark. Mephi gently kissed my forehead, and slowly moved back. What was that so suddenly? I do not know when we will meet again. Yerushia. As Mephi slowly takes a graceful, noble-like bow, on his back, 3 pairs of bat-like wings, the same pale indigo color as his hair, spread out, dancing before the moon of the night sky. In my thousands of years, I've never come upon a girl of the same species as me. What was that? As I wake up in the soft morning sun, those words spilled out of my mouth. I'm in my new, unfamiliar room. I'm still not accustomed to such a large bed. After I check that my appearance is still the same, I give out a breath of relief. For some reason, the dream felt important. I remember a little, but the shocking part almost overwrote the important parts in my head. I can still feel his remains when I touch that spot. I murmured. Pedophile. As usual, a peaceful day begins for this demon. Chapter 1, I've Become a Princess Part 1. Well now, it's a brand new day. It's been nearly a year since that second demon summoning incident, and I will be 5 years old in 3 months. Having a good snack, meeting my grandfather who turned out to be a king. This year has had a lot happening, quite a bit of tension. To top it off, staring out my window at the city and muttering "Give me your love." Pardon me. Just going to squirm in my bed a little. Well now, it's a brand new day. It's been nearly a year since that second demon summoning incident, and I will be 5 years old in 3 months. You think something's wrong? Ignore it. Anyways, my life has dramatically changed. Although, since I've been overly pampered from the start, not much has changed, but it has been increased further. Today is one of those days. For Princess Yeru, the head chef has baked a lot of treats that are trending wildly in the royal capital. Okay, a little human food won't kill me. A voice came my way. The head maid. When father moved into the castle, the people that started caring for me grew by a lot. Ever since he became a duke, maids have been coming by the dozens. That old butler guy, just Grandpa San's wife, forces me to call her Nana. Why are you two so insistent on this? Nana and I walk slowly while holding hands. I'm almost 5 years old. It's about time I graduated from being carried around. However, my other hand is being held by another maid, holding me on both sides. For some reason, I remembered a black and white photo of a monkey being held up on either side. Being pulled by 2 people can barely be called walking. Or rather, my feet are floating. I don't want it to be like this, but when I complain I get carried around instead. No objection. I am a princess, right? As an aside, when mother carried me down the hallways, I saw Vio through an open door with all the younger maids, doing intensive training like push-ups. What are you training for? All of you guys' love is heavy. Our home. Let's just say that the household of the Yuzania is in a very good financial state. This country, the Holy Kingdom Tatayudo, is a rich land. Maybe because people are religious, they work hard and pay their taxes. Seems there's no corruption in the religion in this nation. Well, cutting to the chase, father's Toru territory pays a lot of taxes. The money isn't all the duke's. Of course, a portion is taken, and we stay profitable through the foreign trading that the duke, father, does on his own. The Toru territory is in the west of the kingdom. Further to the west is the Shiguresu country, where about 30% of the land is farmland. It's an agricultural superpower. Shiguresu, as a mostly agricultural nation, worships the same goddess as us, the goddess of good harvest, Kostoru. The queen there is my father's older sister, in other words, my aunt. Well, of course he's profitable. Who could he trust more as a trading partner? All the same, I heard from the old butler that when the retired minister was in charge, there was an even greater amount of profit made. Anyways, Our house is quite rich, even among aristocrats. Since both mother and father have no extravagant hobbies, they focused all their money on me. Of the butlers and maids that showed up when father came here, who pamper me so intently, some had even left their previous employers who they'd worked with for a long time. Vio has been fiercely training the new maids. It's quite scary, you know. I have lots of dresses and extravagant meals. I'm just not used to this degree of luxury. I can't say I don't need it properly. Why, you ask, would what's happened deviate from the new norm? For one thing, whenever I go out, I'm escorted by knights. Well, it's normal to be escorted by normal knights, but this time, a dozen female knights followed us. Do they like cross-dressing? You guys, guarding us that fiercely isn't necessary. Female knights. Sounds good, doesn't it? However, we were at the back of that knight formation for a reason this time. Look, yeah, Russia, we can see the castle from here. Without thinking, I accidentally lapsed into baby talk, but it doesn't matter. Right now, I'm riding on a horse together with His Majesty. In other words, with my grandfather. Although his looks aren't bad, grandfather is anything but delicate. He's giving me love. Grandfather and uncle are all the same. Wild. They have no delicacy. Thank God that father resembles grandmother. Today I'm taking a long ride with grandfather. That's right. I'm in the royal capital. The knights who escorted us to the royal capital did so under the king's instruction. I stay for 3 days and it takes 1 week to enter from the capital. We are commanded to visit the castle once a month. Troublesome. Grandfather gives me lots of love. I have a terrifying look for a child, I thought, but it seems that since my uncle only had sons, grandfather is full of love to give me. It seems like he's been waiting for a granddaughter. His love is intoxicating. What about my 2 older sisters? Yeah, Russia. Today, we're hunting a bird called pheasant in that forest. Birdie, I appropriately chimed, looking for where a bird would be. I'd never experienced hunting in the world of that dream, so I'm curious. Oh yeah? There's a sign of a beast in the forest. Of course, since we're so close to the royal capital, there shouldn't be many beasts. In demon terms, beast, as a group, refers to things like ghouls, which eat people. In other words, things like me. Well, at least the sign isn't that strong. It's at most the type that would kill for food, rather than being of the level where it would kill for its own sake. It's reassuring. Though, even if I know how to use my demonic power to a certain extent, I can't get conceited. Although that was told to me, I also don't know what the magnitude of the forces of the country is. Whatever. I wouldn't be hostile, would I? I love humans, after all. But for me, there's no need to worry for this level of presence. I noticed something directly in my line of sight past the sign. But, after seeing that I saw it, it flinched and disappeared. What is it? Yeah, Russia. A squirrel. When grandfather asked, I pointed to where I had seen their squirrels that were solidified in the previous aftermath. You don't have to stiffen just because you're being looked at. Oh, how cute. Do you want it? Isn't a bit sad to catch. It was scared off. Yeah, Russia is so gentle. A laid-back voice came from beside us. Looking that way, I see a pink honey blonde boy, looking at me with a warm, fuzzy face. He is Rick's brother, the tentative firstborn of the Crown Prince, Timothy Kun, age 13, my cousin. In addition to his strawberry honey hair, his appearance as a whole is a mess of sweet. Besides taking after Elise Armour and looking exactly like a model, Prince Timothy Kun is filled with fluffy and sweetness inside. Rick, on the other hand, will never be called Sama in my heart. Just that guy is fine. Brat is also good enough for Rick. This time, Timothy Kun is here to provide the companionship of a cousin. Father and uncle and Elise Armour, even grandpa, are always playing around like it's their job. By the way, I thought Rick had started school. Good for Timothy Kun, I thought. On the other hand, it's too bad that the new students will be stuck with Rick. But Rick hasn't gone to school yet. I was mistaken to enroll in the magic school, rather than the child being 7 years old in that year. They need to be 7 by the time of enrollment. In other words, they are admitted when they would have started the 2nd grade of elementary school. TL. On Earth, the children graduate from the Magic Academy when they're 17. I'm not gentle. To think of Squirrel Sand's well-being, yeah, Russia is kind at heart, says Timothy Kun with a sweet smile, as he strokes my hair. He speaks a lot like Ali as well. Such unreliable men in the royal family. Only the 10-year-old brother doesn't act like a spoiled child. He's not scared of me either. Haha. That made me a little happy. While I was smiling in satisfaction while my hair was being stroked, grandfather came over and stroked my head. Gashi. It's a little painful. Yeah, Russia. Watch that bird. Your voice is too big, grandfather. Handing me to the female knight who was a head to the side, grandfather pulls back the string of a superb-looking bow, and in one hit, the pink bird, a pheasant, was shot down. Ooh. Behind the knights, grandfather and Timothy Kun's escort of 32 people and my escort of 15 knights who and are. But to me, I kept having a hallucination of someone saying, Naizu Shoto. TL, sound it out. How was it? Grandfather, amazing. Yup, I should praise or else. If I don't praise while you are making such a face. In things like this, grandfather is very similar to Rick. I feel like uncle is similar to grandfather, too. Also, they're similar to him. It seems as though I'm weak against this type. Chapter 2, I've become a princess Part 2. Tea party. Grandmother brings over a freshly boiled kettle. I'm currently with my grandmother, the Queen, my Aunt Ali Sama, and, incidentally, Rick, having tea in the garden. Yes, a tea party. Yeru will be 5 years old soon. No, Ali Sama said in her usual relaxing voice. Wondrous. This garden was originally a place for the royal family to take their tea. It seems that being invited at all is considered a great honor. It's grandmother's hobby to take care of the flower garden here. Right now, I'm sitting on grandmother's knee. Then, may I attend your tea party, Yeru? Grandmother says while stroking my cheek and hair. Zuri. Grandmother is like a little girl, and I'm her stuffed animal. It seems. Tea party. Aren't we drinking tea right now? Also, the tea party, from before. Didn't you come here? Oh. I thought Rick didn't remember me. Good job. I'll have to puny his cheeks later. Rick, you dummy. Don't you know how special their first tea party is? Ali Sama is relentless to her son. A tea party at the age of 5 is the first time a noble girl is considered a lady. Although situations exist where both mother and child will participate, acting as a chaperone, with the exception of close family members' events. The children basically participate alone, building friendly relations with other families and sharing information. Well, anyways, that's what it's supposed to be, though, to teach the 5-year-olds how to manage. They are usually brought to relatives' tea parties until they're more tempered. So, I think it would be a good if Yeru and I join mother-in-law's tea party. Ria, is that alright with you? Yes, as long as you say so. To Ali Sama's words, mother smiled happily. Mother is so polite when speaking with Ali rather than talking like their relatives. Since mother was Ali's junior back at the Magic Academy, they call each other so. It's different from the way that the housekeeper speaks of the goddess Sama. Speaking of, I still haven't met my own elder sisters. Why is that? The tea party has a women's meeting kind of feeling. It seems that the reason further brought me to that first tea party was to have me meet Rick. Then, this time, Rick. Why is he coming again? What is it? Oh, nothing, Rick Sama. Rick's rotten mood was multiplied when he notices my glare. Oh well, even if it's only with relatives. Thinking of intermingling with just ladies makes me feel uncomfortable. Give me some pity, it's just an offhand thought. I'm sure that since I'll just be talking to the other children, it will be fine. I'm overthinking. He. I just hope nobody says read the atmosphere. Yura, why are you using Sama with Rick? Rick is something like your brother, said grandmother. Booty. Calling that brat brother? What shameful play are you pushing on me? I'll also call Yerushia without an honorific. Yup. Rick's definitely embarrassed. This is the first time we both feel this way. But, using no honorifics would be a bit too much, for the time being, since Rick is a prince, and I'm a duke's daughter, using Sama gives the sense of a wall between us. Well then, Queen, Why not have her call him Roderick Unasama outside and without Asama while in this place? Well, that's quite adorable. Let's do that. Also, Ria, you should call me mother-in-law. Yes, mother-in-law. While my guard was down, the nonchalant duo decided on nicknames. Do I have any veto option in this? I glance over a trick Rick seems to be trying to hide. It can't be helped. Even though things might appear this way, I am the best demon at reading the atmosphere. You know, this much shouldn't be enough to make me lose my facade. Crud. Rick. Why yeah. Rick suddenly looks shy. If you look like that, I'll get nervous. Over there, Kusu. A bunch of chuckles could be heard. Looking over there, the owner of the voice was grinning while looking between me and Rick. As I thought, Elise-sama, the first tea party being planned by grandfather and uncle of children meeting their relatives is being taken over by a secret plan. It seems like Elise-sama has another purpose for this. Elise-sama is trying to make her cute little sister's daughter into her daughter-in-law. This situation, I don't think it could be serious. For that matter, Rick and I can't possibly be engaged, right? If all goes to plan, Timothy-kun will be the first to succeed the throne. If that was the case, as the second-born of the crown prince, Rick would form a new house in a new territory, or will be brought into a ducal family by marrying into a house. He may be put with me, since our unborn child would have pure blood. Uncle has military skill, father has wisdom. Since both of them have the pure blood of royalty, they should have children with a non-royal family. Quite a problem, quite a big problem. Since I can't do it, I suppose there is a possibility that I will be married to Timothy-kun, but his age is so far from mine. When Timothy-kun is of a marriageable age, I'll only be 10 years old or so. He also has the little brother, who he's good friends with, so I'll withhold. Actually, there is another possibility. Either of my two elder sisters could marry Timothy-kun, since the purity of their blood should be the same. I see, I don't need to marry Rick either, since there are two people anyway. I try to imply as much while talking to Elise-sama. Ahaha, Yeru is so young. But you made such a funny joke, she said with a serious face. What the heck did you do? As of yet unseen sisters. The same kind of thing was said by our night escort before. Yerushia-sama, our one and only princess, we welcome you, or something. What did he mean? Chapter 3, I am now 5 years old. Part 1. Yerushia's 5th birthday party will be held in the castle. What are you saying, grandfather? 1 week before I turn 5, His Majesty suddenly said that, and father agreed. At least, that's what I heard. As the grandchild of His Majesty, it seems that everyone in the territory have been invited for the announcement of my official debut as a duke's daughter. Personally, a party outside of the Toru territory makes me nervous. To me, who had the mind of a peasant, even having 20 people was a big party, but I heard a rumor that more than 100 aristocrats and big merchants had requested to attend. I heard another rumor, as well, about me being a saint princess. Rumors like that make me blush in embarrassment. I remembered those children whom I healed. They were all saying things like Saint Sama with sparkling eyes. I also heard a rumor, said in whispers, about the church making it official. Being given such a title by the church, is that normal? I hate it. Because of those hypocrites, I'll be targeted by things like assassins or fanatics. Oh well, I am a demon, after all. Consequently, I'll have to put up with my debut in the Toru territory. Meanwhile, more and more people have been seeking permission to attend the announcement in the royal castle. Church officials will also be coming. Father, your daughter believes in your ability to convince grandfather. Yup, it was useless. You're entirely hopeless, father. I can't say more. Taking grandmother and Elise-sama on as enemies, you lasted for an hour. Isn't that too weak? But, isn't this good? What's wrong? Princess Yeru. One of Vio's maids leaked absent-mindedly after hearing. The party is in 4 days. Since it's not good to arrive at the last minute, we arrived in the royal capital with time to spare, and are supposed to stay in the castle until the party. As a matter of fact, I've never been to our secondary house in the royal capital. Staying in the royal capital, rather than in father's private residence or the castle. In the second residence were my sisters. I thought for sure this time I would be able to meet them. Is this on purpose? Impossible. Having my debut as the Duke's daughter in grandfather's castle, I surrender. Thank you very much for your consent. Don't thank me. But what makes me so special? What about the girls of other ducal houses there? Surrounding the royal capital were 5 cities, positioned evenly around it, ruled by 5 dukes. Recently one was lost and another gained. We have thin blood ties with the other ducal families. Outside of the Vyuznaya house, the deepest blooded house, the previous king's brother's son-in-law is in the Capel family. There was also someone who married into the royal family through our former queen, but he passed away. So in the end it's because I'm his grandchild? That's right, and Princess Yeru has been recognized as their princess by His Majesty, filling the necessary existence of princess in our country. In short, in diplomacy, when other countries have royal weddings and celebrations, we send a delegation to their country. If it's a lesser country, we send embassy nobles, but if the country is larger, at least one person from their royal family will attend. But, if the country is in a state of competition with us, we would hesitate to send a royal-born boy. Therefore, in the Holy Kingdom, there's always been a young princess that is sent as an envoy. Sending a young person makes people happier than if you send some geezer. It seems you force the princess to go? That sounds absurd, grandfather. Isn't there a danger to me? While I was thinking, Vio made a serious face, smiling a little bit while shaking her head. It's only the public stance. Up to this point, your father, the Vyuznaya Duke, has been attending to other countries instead. Father, you were a diplomat. Seems I imagined right. But, public stance? When His Majesty summons you to the castle, it gives him a reason to give his favorite granddaughter an excessive guard. Grandfather, grandpa, you dummy. Having me authorized as a princess, purely since you want to pamper me openly. Didn't someone oppose you? Then what happens to my older sisters? Aren't my sisters grandfather's granddaughters as well? When I incline my neck to look, Vio's cheeks shook as she let out a sigh. Those people, Athena and Ophelia, it's very, in regards to their behavior. What have you done, elder sisters? I sensed an attitude like Elise Armour's. When you say it like that, I become more and more interested in my sisters. As a demon, I found out grandfather and Elise Armour's intentions. Still, though, I don't know why it makes such a difference that even the female knights would call me their one and only princess. So I asked a female knight. Excuse me, female knight-san. Princess. I've seen the female knight that I'm talking to training in the garden of the royal castle. She throws her wooden sword out of her hand while correcting her posture. The person next to her was hit, and crouched down with a nosebleed. If you will, please call me Sarah. Sure, Sarah. At any rate, there, San, when attached makes things messy with my speech, so let's discard it off the bat. For you, lower, Hilda, how unpleasant. That child, out of all the maids, loved hugging me the most. For the time being, please let me down from your upper arms. As I planted my feet firmly on the ground, the 3 of them including the maid knelt. What is this incredibly comfortable but strange feeling? Sarah? Yes, oh, one and only princess? Her eyes are sparkling. I wonder if she's still in her teens? Sarah had brown eyes and hair, but her cute childish freckles remained. Why did you decide to become my escort knight? For the time being, let's do small talk. Yes, princess. 2 years ago, while I was training in the Night Hall, I saw a notification that said who'll dedicate their sword to the princess. Female knights wanted. So we applied. They were looking for. What? Who would reply to such a suspicious ad? It seems to not be a joke, though. Since the nosebleed knight is also nodding. But really, grandfather was planning since that long ago. So anyways, why do you only call me princess? Because princess is the princess. Before, you said only. What did you mean by that? Why did you say it in that way? When I ask her, Sarah places her right hand on her chest and raises her left hand towards the heavens, posing and talking like a stage actor. Oh, Princess. Princess Yerushia. Your golden hair, your silky skin, and your golden irises have captured my heart. The moment I first but glanced at your adorable appearance, forgive my shameful tongue, to escort this princess was such a great joy. I bragged like crazy to my brothers in escorting my local lord to the point of causing a fist fight. Sarah-san, please stop. Hitting Sarah's forehead. Pechi, she shyly looked at me while blushing. Seriously? That's not my hobby, you know. Whatever. It leaked out. And she wasn't scared, was she? It's like the suspension bridge effect, love at first sight. I'm not the one and only princess, you know. I have 2 older sisters, right? She really didn't know? Though of course I know. I heard those 2. I haven't heard many good rumors about them. For example, don't look away. Hang in there, Sarah-chan. I mean, there, princess. Is this Holy Kingdom's face? If it's Princess Yerushia, we can boast to the knights of other countries. The topic was averted. But, they have pride in me. The best I can do is be intimidating face of the country. That's right. With your appearance, like that of an angel, you are the Holy Kingdom's princess saint. Princess is more than just a princess saint. Whether or not I'm a saint, it's really embarrassing. Those knights have spread the rumor they heard. It's probably rippled out in every direction. How bothersome. Half getting up off the ground, I use holy magic on the nosebleed knight who was still crouching. These 2 people have truly dedicated their swords to me. Yup. It's impossible, since I'm a demon, after all. Chapter 4. I am now 5 years old. Part 2. That night, in the Holy Kingdom Tatarudo's capital city, His Majesty, the king's doted upon granddaughter, Duke of Vyuznya's daughter, Yerushia Vyuznaya, was about to celebrate her 5th birthday. Known as in debut, the amount of people attending was said to be well in excess of 1,200 people. It was unusual for the birthday party of a duke's daughter to be held in the royal castle, but even more unusual was how many attendees signed up to participate on their own. Everyone was trying to see the princess from their rumor. Since the situation was as such, the amount of people who were there genuinely to celebrate Yerushia's birthday were few. After all, the rumor had evolved into the captivating beautiful golden princess of the royal family, the saint who healed countless wounded children in mind and body, the one who used the most sacred heavenly magic of angels. They wanted to ascertain the reality of the rumors, as it was outrageous that a 5-year-old would be able to do all of that. She is being visited by not only the state religion of Kostoru, but by various other denominations as well. The rumored title of saint. Each sect of the head temple has come to confirm this, and should she be a pretender, she will face condemnation from their sect, no matter how well advertised. For that matter, even if their rumor proved not to be true, to gain the favor of the royal family's favorite, or propose deals with the wealthy Duke of Vyuznaya, there was no loss in coming. But those thoughts were soon laid to rest. Appearing in the entrance as the music changed, the 2 princes escorted someone who seemed to be the princess. The faces of the guests froze upon seeing her. It may have been a primal fear. She was a cold beauty that looked as though the gods themselves had made a doll. Her hair, like golden thread, seemed to shine with a faint light by itself. Silky smooth skin with a lustrously fair complexion that resembled porcelain. If she was a human, we aren't worthy to call ourselves human, they all thought. Such a presence that caused such fear, like a curse, was lifted as she gave a small smile. Thank God, she is a human. We're humans as well. There were some who shed tears of relief. Everyone knew that this girl was their princess of this holy kingdom. All but one person, who was feeling deeply suspicious. That was dangerous. I overdid the intimidation in that opening, it seemed. Before entering the venue, I caught the scent of negative emotions drifting all around. A weak demon like me, there's no way that I was scared and brought out my intimidation, right? But as expected, everyone looks so scared, so I tried to be deceptive and put on a fake smile in a hurry. Yup. Yerushia, eh? Are you scared? Your hands are trembling. Rick is looking at me with an anxious look in his eyes. I've been holding Rick's hand this whole time. Rick was silent while holding my hand up till now. My palm is drenched with sweat. I'm sorry, Rick. I know it probably feels gross. I was nervous too, the first time I was in front of a lot of people. Yeah, Russia. There's no need to keep making a scared face. Timothy Khan gives me a fluffy smile, while stroking my head. As expected of my provisional older brother, he gives a bit of peace of mind. Thank you. Both of you. HMPH. You're very welcome. I'm impressed. I was properly received, though as I thought, Rick's a brat. And so, me and Timothy Khan walked with each other while he wore his fluffy smile. Yeah, Russia, let's go. The guest of honor should be on stage, even if you don't like it. Hold you. Rick, while still gripping my hand, started down the stairs with a stop. You're walking too fast. My legs are weak. I'm fragile. I'll fall. You know. Slow down, you brat. Brother Roderick. While in a hurry, when Rick is called, brother, by me, he stopped his legs and made a surprised face. I couldn't tell from it whether he was happy or sad. I'll fall, so walk slowly. I understand. Finally, Rick the brat seems to have understood me, and escorts me slowly so that I don't fall down. Phew, what a relief. I hesitated to call Rick brother before, but maybe it felt normal to use it when I was panicking. So, I guess it worked out. He's sensitive, after all. I wonder how Rick's doing. He seems awfully adult now. Was me calling you brother strange? I say in a small voice. Rick shakes his head a little bit. So not strange, then. But, wouldn't it be better to drop the honorific normally? Yup. And so, the two of us fell silent. Yup, Rick is amusing. Hey, Yerusama. Don. A small shadow rushes through the entrance before the guard has time to herald them. Shelley. Yes, long time no see. Why yeah, it's been a whole 2 days. I met with Shelley when I visited the city government. Is she having amnesia? Shelley's still young, huh. Thanks to Shelley acting so erratically, the strange mood in the air went flying. With that as well, the aristocrats started greeting me, for better or for worse. Father. How many people did you invite? More than 50 noblemen have come to greet me now. Too many? Since greeting everyone would be impossible, I focused on friends of father and grandfather, but it still took close to 2 hours. All the couples are taking too long. Isn't it rude to line up one by one with such rigor? That's true. Let me and your father receive the guests for a while. Take a break. The NKS. Leaving further to apologize, mother brings me to the cage. Well, it's not a cage, since there is a plush sofa and a low table, and we're surrounded by knights and maids, so anyone who approaches would need some real guts. It just feels like being an animal at the zoo in plain view, so I call it such. On the other side of the cage, grandfather and uncle are clamoring like middle-aged men while drinking sake. That place is dangerous. Huh? You aren't helping father? Right now, I'm in there cage, with Shelley, surrounded by my escort knights that seem adamant that it remain a male prohibited safe zone for me. Yaru. I need to go return and help Foldsama. Okay? Yes, mother. The healing fluffiness of mother has left. She's worried about you after all. Grandfather, you're unforgivable. Shelley was greeted by Sarah-chan, who began escorting her the moment she entered the cage. Yerusama, here you are. Seeing Shelley so full of fluffiness, and running low on fluffy, I sat down on the couch with her. The line of people is growing. Faces. I can't remember them all. Father, on the other hand, is able to remember all of the people. Thought it would be bad if he couldn't. It's impossible for me to distinguish between the pig slop, though. Vio had us brewed a cup of tea, but I can't taste it. After all, I finally feel comfortable around humans. Yerusama, what will you be doing for your first tea party? Based on how she's asking, I get the feeling she's expecting something. It's grandmother's tea party. I'm sorry. Okay, it's fine. After all, it's the Golden Princess's party. What's that? G-Gold? Yerusama, have you not heard? Since I have golden irises and hair, it seems I'm being called the Golden Princess. How appropriate. though apparently there is a person who was named Silver Princess earlier, so I seem to be called so after them. That person. I feel sorry for her being called such a shameful name. A beautiful girl with silver hair. Yeru doesn't lose to her at all. I see. Who is she? Hearing me, Shelley tilts her neck, and Vio tells us gently, the Lord Earl Barasob Usama, since you were young. He hasn't come to the royal capital. His daughter Milne Sama is 14 years old, and started moving around in social circles from last year. She is rumored to be an amazing beauty. The princess with silvery white hair. That Milne Sama? Is she here today? No, due to her weak body. It seems she's been made to recuperate in her territory recently. Since she's not able to attend school, we've heard that she's tutored at home. That's how it is, Yeru-sama. Once Milne Sama has an improvement in her body and visits the royal capital, she will likely hold a tea party again. Huh. What a strange story. The maids and female knights told us it in detail, even speaking at the same time from excitement. Because if there were only women around me, there was a high degree of attention that was directed towards us, keeping everyone away, or maybe something else. But I'm the guest of honor. But a noble girl playing about like this, that can't look good, can it? Oi, you're not afraid, are you? I'm with me. Can't I cherry pick a little? I wonder if I'm scary after all. I'm scared, but the title makes me even more scared. And so, at last, those two have finally come. The main event was about to start. Fufafu. Chapter 5. I'm now 5 years old. Part 3. Splash. Oh my. I'm so sorry. Did I get you dirty? It suddenly started. Two girls had stepped towards the guest of honor, Yerushia. There, princess, who was so beautiful it inspired fear, through the encasement of female knights protecting her. One of them threw the fruit twine in their hand on Yerushia, her using fruit twine which was an especially bright shade of red, rather than paler fruit water made her malice clear. Yerushia was covered from her beautiful gold hair to her elegantly tailored white dress, in mottled red. Ahaha, that's too much, older sister. This child. She looks like a pig in a slaughterhouse. Ara, you can't say such a thing. Even I, without skills, could have avoided what this retard couldn't. Am I right? Their loud voices rang throughout the hall. What a high-handed attitude. It was so much, that the maids and female knights were so stunned began to move again. Are you acting against Athena, Duke of Eusenea's firstborn daughter? Yeah, you know, going against sister and I is useless. Hearing their words, the maids and knights endured and stopped their movements. Fu-un. The new maids are of such bad upbringing. Yerushia or something. Are you a new head maid servant? The atmosphere froze at their statement. Bodies shook in anger, and the girl next to Yerushia was so scared that she could not move. The Duke of Eusenea? His two remaining daughters from the old blood of the Kourou dukedom. The first daughter was Athena, the second was Ophelia. They were still 10 and 9 years old, with a bewitching beauty under their arrogance. They wore a crimson dress with their red hair, which was a style reminiscent of their mother. But that was just too horrible. While being watched by the royal family or the duke, being called a vassal of the family, referring to their new sister as a maidhead. Poor child. Not to speak of the duke's family, the royal family or other dukes. The tight ties between the duke and the royal family, who could think their abusive language could be used in this place. There were rumors of events in the academy and royal capital, known by nobles, ruining merchants, making students attempt suicide, killing animals for fun, even rumored to have connections with black market dealers. Could that really describe a 10-year-old girl? There was an early rumor that she was betrothed to the first grandson of the king, but it was cancelled immediately. That fact spread by the girls themselves afterwards. Complexions like evil roses against a dainty little lily flower. The antagonism between the contrasting sisters was not stopped by the duke's glare of righteous indignation or those of the nobles and knights. This evil may be unstoppable. The moment everyone was averting their eyes, downcast, the air in the place had been transformed. Their souls were trembling, such an oppressive intimidating pressure that one would want to kneel on the spot. Those who looked for its source saw a girl. Yerussia's dainty smile was burned into their souls. What? Sister Ophelia, who was frightened, threw a fruit twine towards me and Shelley. I reached out and caught the glass before it hit her, the wine splashing out, as I began casting a spell. Let there be light. A weak, pale gentle light spread out. When the light disappeared, the bright red fruit twine had been changed into plain water. My pretty dress was no longer stained. The high dear sacred magic to cure poison, purification. It can not only cure poisons and curses, even dirt gets erased. However, if one isn't careful, colored clothing will be bleached white. Wiping off the crystal clear water with a handkerchief, I aimed a gentle smile to my elder sister. What now? What's your next plan? Sister, you fufafu. You, what are? Sister Athena is scared. That's strange. I'm not letting out very much intimidation. Cute little Shelley was scared, while I managed to fool the cute child. I lost my self-control. Dangerous, dangerous. I need to try to behave like a real human. While I was thinking that, I kept showing my smile and tilted my neck. Why you? I refuse to recognize you as our sister, older sister. Oh? Unexpectedly, they backed down easily. Sister Athena stomped off rapidly, Ophelia following in a hurry. Oh, I wanted more exchanges with them. Princess Yeru-sama, Vio and Sarah-chan both ran up to me and began to kneel. My most humble apologies. We truly are. Whatever. It can't be helped. Yeru-sama. I stroked the fluffy hair of Shelley, who came clinging onto my arm. I bow to the people kneeling. I'm sorry, everyone. The mood was ruined because of me. Yup. I'm honestly sorry. I'm curious of what my elder sister who was left to her own devices will do. Such a thing. I am prepared to take the punishment. I thought so. I must be the princess's shield and sword. But really, Yerushia-sama. She's so gentle. Was that sacred magic there? I definitely won't boast to my brothers about this. Please stop it, Sarah-chan. However, Princess, you should ask for more discipline. A servant of the Duke really shouldn't say such a thing. In response to the maid's remark, the other kids made small nods. The adults must see me as a reckless 5-year-old girl. Hee. It's nothing if only that degree. After all. After hearing about how my sister's rumors, I had a lot of confidence. This would absolutely become a positive encounter. Fufafu. Just as planned. No, it was even better, thanks to you, sister. Seriously, wasn't she pretty? When I happily muttered such, everyone from all around us showed signs of awe. How cute. And delicious. The reactions of the nobles who attended the birthday party of Yerushia were divided into 3 camps. First, there were rumors that those 2 sisters weren't the real daughters of the Duke. After hearing the vocal feud between them, those shady sisters, dismissed with just a smile and some sacred magic. The outage of the sisters. Those who knew about their mischief, learned the depth of Yerushia's kindness. Second, to the majority of the aristocracy, the royal kingdom's face, Princess Yerushia was lauded as a saint, and they sent messages saying as much back to their families and territory. Finally, part of the nobility, after having seen Yerushia's charm, chose to be wary of Duke Vyuzhnia. And so, in haste, the nobles returned to their key positions in the country. The current king was set to retire within 10 years, ceding the throne to the first prince tentatively. It may be a while, but in the meantime, the inheritance problem between Timothy and Roderick was center stage. The mainstream faction pushing Timothy to the throne, as was according to the right of lineage, but another faction wished for Roderick to be king, believing Timothy to be too weak. Both had reasons which lined up, but a single issue would decide. The thick royal blood, the beautiful face, the saint of power and mercy for whom praise flowed, the golden princess. After a few years, there would definitely be a fight over her. Even now a little, they had to prepare so that the other factions would not get the jump on them. The prince who marries Yerushia will be chosen as the king of the next generation. Chapter 6, I've Become a Master Part 1. After that birthday party I didn't want, a few months have passed since that birthday party that I didn't want to have. Seriously, come on. Next time, I will absolutely decline. Oh well. At least encountering those lovely sisters of mine was good, Fu. But as I thought, such a rash act in front of the royal family. Elise-sama is in an especially large rage. Anyways, it seems that before I enroll in the magical academy, I'll be going to a boarding school in other countries for a while. Well, what can I do? It looks better if I'm more mature about this, so let's wait this out and have fun. I hope I come back while still in school, if possible. It seems the nobles are saying I'm a very valuable thing. I apologize to father, who had on a pained face. What a complicated love between us. I'll have to be careful. I did, however, leave my sisters a nasty souvenir. Yeah, Russia, can you hear me? Yes, honored father, I called out, as I ran over with a tut-tut. I planted myself on father's lap like a kitten while he talked to me. Do you know what we export from the Vyuznir dukedom to the country sister married into? Let's see. Distilled spirit sand. Iron products. For our exports, we import the crops and fruit that have been produced in Shiguresu. Things like fresh vegetables. They aren't frozen with magic since that would be unreasonably costly. We import fruit wine from Shiguresu, and send back what we distill from it. We send out our brand of sake. So, when you turn 6, I want you to help with inspection of the production site. Inspection work, is it? Finally, I can depart from being a purebred good-for-nothing. Did he say 6 years old? Listening to the full story, while it seems that the Toru territory finances the export products, it's actually made in the outskirts of the city and the surrounding villages. In addition to his visiting work, and his job in the royal capital, he needs to go to other countries for diplomatic reasons. He can't really go anywhere freely. Is that the reason why he didn't visit me that often? Oh well, it can't be helped. I'm sure he had a good reason. Besides, why do I have to go? It seems that you just want me to come with you. From the perspective of a demon, it seems that they want the famous saint, princess, to come. I understand now. Is it like a singer? An idol tour, isn't it? Is that what you want? I think I heard that people often get terrible injuries in the mines and ironworks out there. Yeah, Russia, would you be willing to heal even a few people? I think their morale would be uplifted by a magnitude if Yeah, Russia went out to meet them. Condolences from an idol are better. Shouldn't there be a priest or church in such a place? I figure an ordinary priest-san could use my stupid holy magic. When horrible burns or an accidental cave-in occurs, the surviving workers will no longer be able to be employed, even if they survive. Therefore, they want me, the one called a saint, to heal their injuries and hearts. I understand, but I haven't received the saint certification from any denominations. Have I? Since Yeah, Russia is still little, your certification of sainthood is still pending, understand? So, your title of saint is specific to this kingdom. Is that so? I don't need such an embarrassing title. Being called a saint in the streets. It seems that the ostensible reason why this was so while I was still not being certified from any sect was because they can't measure my abilities this young. The behind-the-scenes reason is that this kingdom is their holy kingdom. Just like how generic and brand name products are not of the same value, being recognized as their holy kingdom's saint carries a special meaning. A few hundred years ago, nearly every sect was flooding with saints. The king of that time sent all of the saints on a punitive expedition against an archdemon, and they say that not a single person came back. What a stupid story. I figure more than half fled. When I think about it, because of such a stupid legend, saints are rarely certified in the Holy Kingdom, and those that are quite intense. It's terrible. For the same reason, there's another title that's equally difficult to earn. Yeah, Russia, do you know? Yes. A demon lord? TL note, this be different than demon folk, from the spiritual plane. I think they use different terminology at least. Indeed, in the Holy Kingdom, we have never produced a demon lord. Wrong, very wrong. Those also flooded in at one point, but since they had mobilized all of their saints, what did they do? Isn't it nice to be able to stand next to a Saint Sama? Father, I don't think that response is appropriate. For that reason, After just a bit longer, Russia will have a dedicated escort of servants, all of which would have similar ages to you. Is this an idol group? I can understand. Vio was originally the exclusive maid of Mother. Sarah-chan is normally serving as the knight of the Duke, and only acts as an escort knight when I go out. So, I think that when I go to school, it'll be good to have a child close to my age as a close aid. Still, I heard this from Vio and the others, but these kids that will be serving me are the children of the noble families that were crushed as a result of the second demon summoning incident. Not only that, they would have ended up like their older siblings, but because they were studying abroad at the time they were unofficially spared and now had nowhere to go. Father, you're too good-natured. But, the children aren't responsible for the sin. There are no sins, but what is this feeling pressing down on me? Apps translation prefix. Every sentence said by the new character, Min, ends with desu. I will be relying on all of you to add it in your heads when you read her, because no, Piroton, wait. You mean we can just tell readers to add details? Quick. Everyone imagine me as a cute GI knocked out. Forgetting that trifling story, let's move on. I was worried all day today, since I intend to have Min, the bookworm maid, teach me all about monsters in this world for the regional tour. For the inspection visit, such knowledge would be required. Other than vampires, what else are present in the world? Minute showed me a book called The Hitchhiker's Guide to Monsters, from the collection of books she has. Something seems off, though. What is this? This is a rabbit. It's weak but its meat is delicious. And this is? This is a wolf. It readily approaches travelers and accepts any food given. Wait, what happened to the wildness? And this? This is a wild boar. It's a little strong, but the meat is very tasty. Is the helpful meant in that fashion? I suppose on a long journey it would be helpful. Do you know anything about dangerous monsters? Yeah. She didn't make a surprised face, though I certainly would have. Minute then brought out a book titled, Bestiary of Perilous Monsters, and began to explain it to me. Thank goodness. It's not some ordinary book. This is a tiger, which is rarely seen. It moves very quickly, and is very dangerous to horses. If such a thing came out of the woods, I'd be scared. This is a rhinoceros. If it looks a traveler in the eyes, it will charge them with its horn. I see. This is a hippopotamus. If it sees a traveler it will slam its body into them. Wow. This is an elephant. If it sees a traveler, it will rush over them with a stampede. What do you mean? These monsters are strangely familiar. Actually, hold on a second. If it sees a traveler, are hippopotamuses and rhinoceroses commonly found on something like a mountain road? Are the roads that scary? Are you trying to scare the hell out of this poor demon? Though I said that. This isn't what I wanted to know. What about monsters? You know, there are things like a demon lord in this world. If I see the demon lord riding a hippopotamus in place of a dragon, I'll definitely laugh and point. Chapter 6, I've Become a Master Part 2. While studying such things, a few months passed by. I'm growing quickly. What will I look like at the end? My entourage candidates have come at last. I'm expected to carefully select them. Yeah, Russia. These are the children. Further brings in 4 children. They look at me for a moment like fools. I must have scared them. I am the second son of the former Baron Ruth. Noah, please have me as your apprentice butler. Yeah, Russia-sama. Noah-kun, age 8, dark brown hair. A brunette. Speaking politely. His piercing grey pupils seem strange. I am the twin sister of Noah, Ninette. May I be your apprentice escort? Ninette-chan, age 8. I get the feeling I shouldn't separate them. Is she trying out to be an apprentice female knight? I am the eldest daughter of the former Viscount Saruda, Christina. Maid apprentice, Christina-chan, age 6. Born the same year as me. This is the first time I've seen blonde ringlets in a long time. I am the former Baron Rowan's third daughter, Fontaine. The same as Chris-chan, maid apprentice. Fontaine-chan, age 5. Silver-haired and blue-eyed, she gives off the impression of a spoiled child. Besides Noah and Ninette, the 3 of us, me, Christina and Fontaine, are the same age. These kids are all former aristocrats since they were from the noble houses that were crushed after the second demon summoning incident. Yes, I'm Yerushia. Greetings to everyone. Yes, yeah, I'm in your care. These 4 are the candidates for my entourage. I hope I can get along with them. The 4 new people came out. These kids aren't so bad. They work. They don't harbor malice towards me or the household. No naughty children. But, they're slightly. Princess Yerushia, the etiquette teacher is scheduled to come in the morning today. Got it, Noah-kun? Is that all? Why are you staring? Is there nothing else to do? Gashan. Oh princess, my greatest apologies. I do say, TL note, their tone is full formal, like British butler crossed with samurai level of formal. Clumsy Ninette-chan pushed over a vase. It must be because it's hard to move around while wearing a large wooden sword on your waist. Why yes, I understand. By the way, I have no special skills, that includes my attentiveness. I just don't have enough for these children. These are going to be my escort? Seriously? Ninette, please tidy it up quickly. Don't do others' share of work. Noah-kun. That's no good, right? Why yes. I'll call the maids at once. Pardon my sister, oh young princess. It is acceptable, though. If the Duke loses a vase or 2, it does not matter. What is he saying, this child? I see, as expected of a Duke. I am glad to be serving the princess. It's all good. Setting that aside for now. The 2 of you, those 5-year-olds, I assume it's their first time. Chris, I want tea. I don't like the taste, but it should whet my thirst. Princess, my name is Christina. What flavor of tea would you like? A suitable herbal tea. She doesn't like being nicknamed. This child is working properly in spite of her age. It's too outstanding, you know. Delicate. Or not? Speaking of which, where is Fontaine? I do not know. I will prepare an appropriate herbal tea. Yup. I won't be bad. You're quite the pure person. It seems. I don't see the other 5-year-old housemaid during the day. Have you seen Fontaine? That child dug a hole in the morning by the flower beds. Was this not at Yeru-sama's instruction? Yerushia-sama. I had some sweets in the kitchen just a bit ago. I saw her walking somewhere with a blanket. That child always ate at the beginning of lunchtime. I wonder why. I had Yeru-sama's crayons and picture book, but it's been used. The housekeepers were watching. What are you doing, Fontaine-chan? It's like she's playing around in the house of relatives. Very my pace. Still, out of the 4 of them, Fontaine is the best. Only that child was able to establish a conversation with me. They can't work if we can't talk. I'm sure that the others will be able to find a good place also. Those kids, when they're adults, will be able to be respectable members of an entourage. My limits, I wonder where they are. And so, I will soon be 6 years old. To help father, I will be visiting the region as the Duke's daughter. And we brought those kids with us. On a certain day, the eldest daughter of the Viscount Varon, Seri, received an invitation in the mail. This, Seri let out a surprised voice as she clasped the letter in her hands. She was a provincial noble who was a 5th grader at the Magic Academy all the way at the royal capital. Her family did not have a second house in the capital, so she was living in the dormitory of the academy. Children of wealthy noble homes or successful merchants would be able to go to tea parties on a daily basis. She was hardly ever invited. Seri could be said to only have friends of circumstance, so she would only ever have tea in her dorm room. The topics that are raised every day, like rumors in the academy or cool boy talk. Tamani-senpai's older sister invited me to what I yearned to see, a tea party. What Seri was longing for especially was a moonlit tea party, which would only be done at night. It begins with a sudden invitation. The invitation, which came to girls without many acquaintances, was said to be receiving the special favor of Obilu's daughter. The girls who came to the moonlit tea party would talk of the splendor of it to other girls with a dreamy look on their faces. Accompanied by a young and beautiful butler in a garden blooming with roses, marvelously delicious teas and sweets are served. The lord of the tea party was there, Silver Princess, mild, who had an enchanting beauty. There was an unspoken pact around their moonlit tea party. The invitation must never be seen by the eyes of anyone but the invitee. If invited, one should never speak of it to anyone else about it. When the carriage for that glorious evening arrived, you could not be found with anyone else. If you broke any of the promises even once, not only would the carriage not arrive, but a second invitation would never arrive at your door. It came. Seri hugged the invitation that she found under the door of her room, frightened as if holding a large amount of money, and hid the letter beneath her undergarments in a hurry. You Tilda. I want to tell someone Tilda. Without the courage to speak, even ignoring her stomach in the bed, going without food, even though her friends came to invite her to dinner, she lied about being unwell, to avoid leaving her room. And so, that night, you were riding a lovely horse-drawn carriage, just like how she dreamed of as a child. Seri came into a strange garden. The surroundings were filled with white roses, and elegant music tickled her ears. In white chairs at white tables, girls who were guests like Seri were being served by a beautiful young servant who had a facial expression capable of causing them to melt away. A gentle-looking girl wearing a black and purple dress finished her conversation and came over to Seri. It was kind of you to come, Seri-sama. Thanks. Silver hair that shone like the moon. The sheer whiteness of her skin stood out, a breathtaking beauty that would stop someone in their tracks to admire. Staring at those bewitching purple pupils, the expression of Seri, just like the other girls, melted like sushi-grade tuna. The girls wake up in bed the next morning, and to prove that it wasn't all just a dream, on their chests, they had their vase of the white rose, as proof that they had participated in the tea party, to tell their friends and families that they had participated in their moonlit tea party, so they could dream of the splendor themselves. All of them, except one who didn't return. Goodbye Seri. Chapter 7. A 6-year-old's Magnificent Daily Life Part 1. I recently turned 6 years old. I no longer ride in the laps of men other than father. Grandfather is watching. My 6th birthday was not especially unusual. Held at the castle, grandfather was sobbing in front of Elise-sama and grandmother. How embarrassing. During my debut in the Toru territory, a foolish noble tried to have me engaged to his idiot son, Otsu-san. Vio and Sarah-chan enclosed me and had an aura of intimidation about them. Timothy-kun was walking in step beside me, holding a bouquet of lilies under his arm. He watched Rick, who was struggling with it with a lukewarm look. Shelley was super soft and fluffy. Sadly, my elder sisters never came back. It seems they were scared of me like I was a ghost that rattled their window in the middle of the night. Honestly, it was a happy birthday party with no problems. Yaru. Is it seriously okay if me and Vio don't come? Yeah, I'll do my best, mother. Worrying until just before leaving. Our departure is seen off by mother and granny. Bree-chan, at your leisure. Yes, let's go, Princess Sama. I was heading towards the inspection of the local provinces, as I promised further I would. Of course, I wasn't alone, since Sarah-chan nominated another 15 escort knights to act as my guards. Bree-chan, or Bridget, was my escort knight captain, who dedicated her sword along with Sarah-chan in the castle. It's the nosebleed knight from back then. Sarah-chan was assuming their female role. Bree-chan was the male. Sometimes, they'd suddenly break out into dance. Scary. Mother is worried since I'll be out of Vio and Auntie's reach, so I had to take care. Nothing can be done about it, not unless they abandon mother. So this is it. My role as their Duke's daughter. At last, my subordinates, I'll need to make sure to use them properly. To say in another way, these 4 apprentice servants are my companions this time. Why is a demon like me feeling stomach pains? There is no conversation. In a large carriage, together with the other 4, there's no conversation since I didn't speak up first. Look at the forest. Fontaine, who can't read the mood, is looking out the window, while the others have no reaction. Christina is reading a book. Noah is fiddling around with a pocket watch, and Ninette is grinning at her sword. Everyone is so free. But, as a member of middle management, it's not good for this to continue. The guard in training, Ninette, might be the easiest to talk to. Ninette, is this sword your favorite? Yes. This sword is from the amazing weapons shop all the way in the royal capital. and even then I could only acquire it when I placed an order in the name of the Duke. Father allowed that? Looking with my eyes, I can tell that the sword is tinged with magic. That is when I begin to speak. Noah the butler apprentice begins to speak over me, covering my voice. Princess, the sword of Ninette is an object purely for the protection of your highness. For this reason, considering it was necessary, I placed the order in your name, Yerushia Sama. Princess, thank you very much. These guys are hopeless. Such a sword is something that only the Holy Kingdom's knight captains and above would have, you know? It costs more than 10 of your salaries, you know? It can't be, Noah. That silver pocket watch you have. Did that come from me, as well? Did you need it? The money for the watch was used yesterday. Setting aside the brother and sister pair, I looked to the two apprentice maids who were doing their own things. Chris, what are you reading? My name is Christina, and I borrowed a book from the library. Damn. Still won't accept her nickname. But, that book, isn't it father's? I do not know. Isn't that book usually locked away on its own shelf? Fontaine, are you having fun? Yes, it's fun. Princess Sama should join me in looking. Why yeah. Seriously, this child is barely able to hold a full conversation. Perhaps if she gets used to her friends, she'll open up. You. Those shoes. Oh, these? I kept falling in the mansion. These are beautiful. Well, of course they're pretty. Those are my shoes from the party. I see. You kids were the type. I understand now. I walked through the moving carriage, and opened the doors. Sarah-chan, I want to ride on your horse. Middle management was impossible for me. Those guys, I will absolutely not bring them on my next trip. I will go vigorously on my own. Let there be light. Such stress keeps building up. I activate the magic, regeneration. The miner's lost leg is growing back with a burst of shining light. Please, no more, it's gross. Shouts are coming from the people gathered in front of the noble house. But, I couldn't care less about such things. I've already grown back his leg. Even his leg hair has come back. So it can't be helped that it attracts attention. It can cure baldness. A faint voice leaked out. A few men's shoulders were slightly trembling. Thank you very much, Saint Samatilda. Minor uncle, were you scared? I only blanked out for a moment because of stress, you know. Why is Sarah-chan not with us? You're my escort, so please stay by my side. Yerushia-sama. Thank you very much, the old lord says while coming closer little by little. This person seems to be a vassal of father, less of a noble and more of a feudal lord. No, I'm glad to be of help. As I put on an awkward smile, I heard sighs of relief from here and there. I'm really sorry. Do you have anyone else who is injured? This was the last of the serious injuries. For the less injured, the local priest took care of them. To relieve stress, I was going to use Blessed Feast. I thought, oh well, now that I'm done, I feel like watching the humans. The angels of light flew down and danced in the city. Please make yourself at home in my house today. Sama mentioned that I should tell you this. Thank you very much. So, may I have a look around the city? Of course Yerushia-sama. I'll get a guide right away. I will diligently relieve my stress. Bree-chan. Yes, Princess Sama. Bridget comes running up to me at my call. Just so you know, I call her Bree-chan because it's same way I called her companion Sarah-chan. Definitely not because it's easy to remember that. Sarah Dish goes with Don Bowl in JP. Anyways, Bree-chan became sulky if I only called Sarah-chan such. I tell them my request. It's no good, Princess Sama. It's too dangerous. I really see ain't. Since I was declined, I look up at them in a childish way, trying to look cute while begging, with my head tilted up. Princess Fua. Bree-chan suddenly crouches while holding her face. A 6-year-old child is begging forcefully. Bree-chan has weak nose membranes. Just because of my pleading you can't put out your nosebleed? Maybe she's just very hot-blooded. My request was simple and clear. I only wanted to walk around town without a companion. Since, if I go out at all, those 4 people come out, my nerves can't take the full force anymore. Applying healing, to Bree-chan over and over. I think that it would be fine to go out with only one person escorting me. I've decided. The winner, Bridget-chan. It's a completely fair decision, though to go so far for me is a bit. After selecting from the knights who volunteered, they were chosen one after another, eventually culminating in the fist fight between Sarah and Bridget that was resolved, and Bridget arrived. Though, thinking about it, did you hit each other more just so I would use healing on you? What is this, Yarushia-sama? The Lord Uncle was looking wide-eyed at the injured female knights with disheveled clothes. A boy who looked like a page was next to him. Ah, he was speaking about getting a guide before. Saint Sama, that child. A boy who was a little taller than me, called me so with a bright red face, also with the Saint Sama. The rumor has even reached a child like that. Do you remember? This child was one of the children kidnapped with you during that incident. Ah, yes. I remember now, that child. During the second demon summoning incident, he was the dying child whose eyes said he wanted to die. For that time. Thank you very much. Yeah, his skinny cheeks had filled out, and his clothes have become better, and he looks happy. That's a relief. At that time, he had such a nice look in his eyes. Well, it can't be helped. Since I couldn't allow that, from his story, he was originally a child of refugees, but after his parents could not be found, father entrusted him to the custody of a vassal who could afford him. As expected, father is wonderful. I am Noel. I've always wanted to meet you, Saint Sama. Oh my, how cute. He's fidgeting all around. This child will do fine. He has the potential to be a mage, and he has a variety of good futures ahead of him. Uncle, you're in the way. Noel has brown mussed hair, and his beautiful tea-green-colored pupils were avoiding my stare. Saint Sama, today I will guide you through the city. Yup, thanks. Recently, I've become better at human interactions between children, due to all the healing. Noel is obedient and cute, causing me to show a smile involuntarily. But, will he be calling me Saint Sama all day? That would be super embarrassing. Chapter 8. A 6-year-old's Magnificent Daily Life Part 2. I went out into the town with Noel and Bree-chan. I asked Sarah-chan to watch over those four. Why? It's because I'm worried, you know, about the ducal assets. Do I look weird? Since my normal appearance makes people think of that shameful rumor, I'm only wearing a dress at the level of a merchant's daughter going into town. It's a flawless disguise once I put on this cap. My powers of perception scare me sometimes. It matches very well, young lady. Bree-chan. You almost called me Princess Sama, didn't you? Cute. Saint Sama. You're the cute one, Noel-kun. The destructive power of a cute boy squirming in embarrassment is inconceivable. Noel, don't call me Saint Sama. Just use my name, okay? But to call you by only your name is how rigid. Do you want to call me Saint Sama that much? Well, it might be a longing for his savior, his Saint Sama. I can feel the itch of his willingness to worship me, though it makes me feel only that he can only see me as a saint. Since I have so few acquaintances, I wanted to become friends with him. Could it be that he doesn't know my name or something? Am I being overly self-conscious? Call me Yarushia. No need to use an honorific. Such a thing. It's impossible to call Saint Sama without an honorific. Noel. How stubborn. Rather, should I command him? No. That'd be unpleasant, like ordering a servant around. Exactly. At least call her Princess Yaru-sama. Bree-chan. Bridget. Yes. If you call me Princess one more time, you will have to move 20 steps away from me and stay there. Yes. Will she even listen to that order? I don't know why, but this child seems to be pleased when I coldly order her around. Sarah-chan. But, since Bree-chan can't stop calling me Princess Yaru, it may be impossible for Noel to just call me Yaru, another nickname. Hey, Noel. Why yes. I pull the hem of my dress in a theatrical gesture. Today, I am the local girl, Lucia. Since Noel is the friend of this girl, it's strange for you to call me in such a reserved way. App note, Russia greater than English it up into Lucia. right? I made sure to put on a gentle smile. Are the instructions too little? Or is it the setting? Did I apply too much pressure? The two of us stared pointedly at each other in silence. Lucia. Yes. I've done it. I've finally done it. Calling me without Yeru is just one step away from a cute nickname. So then, let's go. Yes. Lucia. Yes. Princess Sama. Bree-chan will be following me and Noel from a distance of 20 steps. Lucia. Is there anything you would like to see? That's right. What would you recommend? I'm sorry. This is a small town with little to be proud of. That's right. Would you like our town's special fried sweet potatoes? They're sweet and delicious. Oh. Something like that. Doesn't it feel like a date? We're only ages 6 and 8, though, but food. How tiresome. My apologies, Lucia doesn't want potatoes. Oh crud. Did I let it show on my face? I'll eat sweet potatoes. I love them. Really? Then, I'll buy you one. With a terribly happy smile, Noel goes running to the stand. You don't need to buy that much. Isn't it enough to just share one between two people? My last resort, after I ate a mouthful. I said I'm so full I can't eat another bite. Can Noel eat the rest? Once he heard that, he ate the rest of it up. Yeah. This little boy is unexpectedly honest. Lucia, there's a candy story over there. Should we? Noel, are you still not full? I appreciate it, but I can't eat that much, you know? It's delicious. Lucia. Just one bite? ? I thought he would hate sharing with me. After all, kids love sweets, but it's difficult for me. Yeah, Noel, you can use magic, right? What magic can you use? I forcibly changed the subject to something that's completely unrelated to the town tour. Magic, huh? Noel put on a serious face, but still talked happily to me. The result of the examination was that I was shown to be gifted in fire, wind, water, and earth spirit magic, at the basic level. All of them? Oh, and light. When Noel casted his spell, a little light like a feather appeared and disappeared. Amazing. Having all the attributes. Lord Uncle, the child you picked up isn't just excellent. When he heard my mumble, Noel shook his head a bit. No, I don't have an aptitude in holy magic. But this power. Noel gently picked up my hands as if they were fragile. Lucia. You gave me this power, he said while staring at me with dazzling eyes and wearing a soft smile. He misunderstood. Since I'm a demon, it was probably something that happened while he witnessed me doing magic as the saint. His strong yearning for strength and that desire for light probably won over the favor of the weak-willed spirit of light, and gave him results. But I can't say for sure. I couldn't say a thing against the cute smile of Noel, who was in full believe in Saint Sama mode. Lucia, Noel calls me out at the faint change in my expression. Just a little unusual presence. A presence? I didn't know what to say to Noel, who noticed my state. I felt a presence just like this in the forest by the royal capital. The presence of a beast. Why is it in the middle of this town? I'm sorry. I don't know what you mean. I may be imagining it, but I'm a little tired. We only walked for a little bit in the town square and ate potatoes. Though I'm sorry, Lucia. I didn't notice. Do you want to go back? No, Noel. Over there. Over in the shadow of a building. I point to an empty bench. Let's go over to that bench. Also, tell Bridget to bring me a cold drink. Yes, Lucia. He could tell that I was in their Duke's daughter mode, rather than their Lucia mode. So Noel obeyed his instructions like a servant. It drew closer. Little by little, its aim seems to be us. Maybe because we are children? Their beast's presence comes towards me, since I'm alone, quietly, steadily closing in. Yes, come, you best. You're trespassing in my feeding grounds, Princess Sama. The sharp sound of Bridget's voice resounds through the square, and there was a scream as someone tried to kidnap a lone girl. Lucia. Noel had just left Yerushia to convey her needs to Bridget, who was 20 steps away, and both the boy and girl watched aghast as Yerushia was taken away. Noel-kun, fetch the Lord. Bridget Sama, please bring me along with you. I can use basic magic. Bridget, who was already running forward, instinctively looked back to the sound of the voice, the look in her eyes changing. "All right, let's go." Yes, things such as involving children like Noel, it wasn't praiseworthy as an adult or as a knight. If there was trouble, his life would be in danger. He might be taken hostage, but Bridget, even with all that in mind, was completely determined to save Yerushia, even at the expense of Noel. Noel agreed. He wanted to save Yerushia's life even if it would cost him his own. Similarly, Bridget was resolute in saving Yerushia even if she had to give up her own life. These two people began to run together, their understanding clear the moment they looked in each other's eyes. It's enough if the other can save Lucia, so even if I fall, it would be fine. So, over there. Yes, the kidnapper was dressed like a normal commoner. Was this person sent by some aristocrat? Or he could be an agent from another country, or maybe even a religious sect. Although no one could be directly identified as the culprit. As someone who was born of royal lineage, the daughter of a duke, and having strong holy magic, her very existence meant that she would have many enemies. Now then, what about this man and woman duo? They seemed to be especially trained at being unseen, given that the kidnappers hadn't even uttered a word, and were maintaining a distance where they couldn't be identified. Still, for all that could be said about their competence, they were still unable to silence their own footsteps, and given that signs of pursuit could still be seen, it was quite impossible for them to escape. Unfortunately, the pursuers couldn't catch up either, and with the way things were going, Noel, the child, had already run out of physical stamina next to Bridget. Just as Bridget and Noel's exhaustion began to build up, a huge shockwave resonated through their insides, and the two people tripped involuntarily. What happened? Still confused in their clumsiness, Bridget and Noel looked around the bend of the alleyway and saw someone. "Oh, Bree-chan, Noel." That voice that was as carefree as someone greeting their friend on a stroll stunned the two people who were called Princess Sama. Lucia, the kidnapper, appeared to just be a man, standing there at a loss, and Yerushia didn't look towards the kidnapper as she walked over towards the two, stretching out a hand with a happy smile in greeting. Bridget quickly moved forward to protect Yerushia, pointing her sword at their man. "And Noel?" Yerushia stared in surprise and amazement as she was strongly hugged all of a sudden by the boy. "Lucia." "Thank God." "Princess, are you hurt?" "Yes, Bree-chan, I'm fine." Yerushia spoke unusually quickly and impatiently. "It's inexcusable. I have failed in my duty. Punish me according to your whims later on." "Shouldn't there have been one more enemy? Did you see them?" Princess Sama, wanting to rejoice in her safety, but first needing to solve the problem at hand. Bridget pointed her sword at their man. "Oh. Yeah, I sent it away with holy magic." "It's fine since that person wasn't a person." "Ah, I see." Despite her yearning for the charming princess, her love for her beauty, and her dedication of all her might and her sword to serve her young master, her master's carefree manner and relaxed atmosphere made it difficult to remain tense. But as usual, she was saved by the gentle Yerushia. If she wasn't so kind, one would fear getting close to her with her cold beauty. "Guru." As Yerushia said, the thing wasn't a person. Their man's eyes became bloodshot as he leaked out a growl, and his hideous nails grew out with an awful creak. "Chikichichi." Without a hint of hesitation, Bridget held out her sword calmly, and, standing next to her, swung down. Gakin. The sword and the nails struck each other, producing sparks, the two taking a step back and taking up fighting stances. "Lucia, stand back." At the sound, Noel finally released Yerushia from his hug, chanting basic wind magic, and holding a small dagger. "I will protect Lucia." "Yeah." Yerushia gave a soft reply, seeing that Noel was faintly trembling, breathing unevenly. She put one hand on his back and pulled him back. "Let there be light!" Seeing Yerushia use holy magic, Bridget and Noel, who received her blessing, were startled. Only by receiving it could it be fully appreciated, the evil repelling, blessing, the defense strengthening, fortify, the magical shield, barrier, the blessing of arms, with holy power, holy sword, a reduction of fatigue, and a constant rejuvenation. In addition, there were many other, advanced support magic spells cast that exceeded the knowledge of the two people. What surprised them was the amount of power in the magic. Their saint's true strength was triggered with only one aria. So much protection in one spell. They were amazed. This is almost as if, just before each decisive battle with the Demon Lord, their saint would give blessings to the hero, just like this. Their man called out something like words, like a beast, but they couldn't be understood. What? Bridget had a feeling and took a few steps back. All of a sudden, a dark sensation filled the dim alley. From the shadows, an inky blackness oozed out of the corners. Lesser demon? Bridget murmured as she pulled herself together. She realized that the lesser demon was closer to the children than she was. Kicking herself towards it. "Goo-oh, you're a nuisance." Their man, who got in her way, received the power of Bridget's holy sword, blasting the horrible nails and even the whole arm off. However, the unimaginable occurred. Naturally, the lesser demon who had thrashed around violently at the children had an expression of fear, not being able to even let out a growl. What's happening? A lesser demon that could cause fear in all life of this world. What is it scared of? Higher, a small shadow spiritedly spoke and jumped forward at the chance. Zaku, Noel's dagger rips through the hide of the lesser demon. But, even a weapon that had received the magic of Holy Sword couldn't defeat a demon when held by a child. Gagawa. The injured lesser demon roared angrily and raised its fists overhead. Noel heard the voice of the girl who had given him the vast blessing of light, and chanted the words that gushed forth from the depths of his soul. Mu Upsilon Alpha. It was their sound that meant light in the spirit language. The moment the light that extended from Noel's dagger hit the lesser demon, the demon was dissected in a single blow and its life was extinguished. While Noel was stunned by what had happened, Bridget finished defeating the man, and spoke out, "Noel-kun. What was that light?" I don't know. It was the spur of the moment. The enemy was defeated, the rescue was completed. But the enemy's identity or the demon's actions, or Noah's light, there were too many things that they didn't understand. But that, both of you, thank you for your help. Their doubts and worries were blown away by her big smile. The two people's minds became blank for a moment. Well, shall we return to the tour of the town? Lucia, Princess Sama, let's just be safe. As Yerushia caused panic in the two people, with a quiet shh, she placed her index finger on her lips. Let's keep today a secret between the three of us, okay? You don't want further to get angry at us, right? And thus, after the trouble of the little Princess Sama's first field trip, they were on their way back the next day. Noel remembered living in pain and despair, hoping for death, her speaking harsh words while looking at his eyes with compassion. A beautiful, little, Saint Sama. The whole of him had been touched by her presence. Noel had harbored feelings similar to worship for her. After more than 2 years, when he finally met her again, she had become even more beautiful, and unapproachable. Saint Sama. Noel was reminded that she was just a lone girl. Rather than being referred to as Saint, she took joy in being called like a normal girl, a girl who would stuff her cheeks with the food of the common people with a mystified expression. In the eyes of such a beautiful, dazzling girl was a girl of carefree character with slightly sleepy eyes, who had a leisurely way of talking. Thinking of it, his cheeks slackened. When she was kidnapped, everything went black with the fear that he might lose her. When she was found, and he embraced her once again, he noticed his feelings. I want to protect Lucia, at any cost. That light was given for the sake of her. Noel thought, I will get stronger, I will protect her, I will not let her be snatched away again. That day, the boy took the first step. In order to stand beside the one and only Saintess, he will be called soon as their hero of the Holy Kingdom. Chapter 9, Heading Out for Tea Part 1. After I lured over those beasts, as my stress-release toys and finished playing with them, Bree-chan and Noel came running quite fast. But, since I've approximately figured out that beasts identity. I guess it was good timing. It also served as a final experiment. The Noah seems to have been stimulated by that blessing of light, awakening an intermediate spirit of light, which lent a hand to him. Although it was a little dangerous, but I was able to gather a little bit of proof for my theory. The source of spirit magic seems to be little willing spirits of light. In most cases, there are willing, lesser spirits of light, but it seems that intermediate spirits of light sleep soundly. Does that personality fit me? I suppose that it will lend power even to a demon like me. I wonder if there are any light elemental, greater spirits. First I should confirm that there are greater spirits for the other elements. Noel Kun was suddenly awakened to strong holy power. Will he be alright? There won't be things like side effects, right? After that happened, his face became red like he had a fever. But, something so strong, will it be alright to not call for help? That final pronunciation of the spirit language. I wonder where it came from. Oh well, I'll have to be wary of being subjugated by Noah. Well then, after that visit, 6 months have passed. Since there were so many things to do, we only could visit one place every 2 months or so. I'm going to enter the Magic Academy when I become 7, so until then it's all going to be touring around the territories. Enrollment begins the first month of the year. Not even 3 months into me being 7 years old, since I was born under the autumn moon. I was seriously busy, with various things. What's this? As I turned off my fortifications on the door and entered my room, a sealed letter fell to my feet. Mew mew. The scent of rose. I may be biased, but a letter like this is never from anyone decent. But, I opened it anyway. I'm worried about the motives of this desperate pervert who sent the letter, given that my room has many, greater defense magics, cast on it, which can't even be broken by a lesser demon. By the way, my door is fortified, to ensure that those 4 people can't get into my room without permission, and the contents are an invitation to a tea party. I walked out of my room and down the hall, handing the invitation to the child I saw, Christina. Should we send it back to the Obu house's daughter? When Christina saw the invitation, the mythic, rumored invitation, her face solidified, as if she couldn't believe her eyes. Yeah, that's the first time I've seen Christina with that kind of face. So anyways, let's make sure to send it back. During these several months, I haven't talked to these 4 servant candidates. I stopped them from coming with me for the tour. I had no problems since Bree-chan and Sarah-chan were with me. I also stopped all the purchase orders made in my name, changed the keys to the dress room and library, and pushed off their management to a high-ranking butler and maid. My name has many uses, especially if I choose to use it personally. Since I'm a very good child, I hadn't indulged myself much so far, but this is going too far. But, since I'm being spoiled so much, I hope that I don't get sucked into a dream world. I wouldn't want to end up like my elder sisters, would I? Dreadful nobles. Oops. I let myself get sidetracked. I haven't had conversations with those children since it exhausted me to speak with them. Although those 4 kids are in my care, it's become troublesome in all sorts of ways to ask them to do things for me. Therefore, I get up without help in the morning, wash my own face, change clothes by myself, eat the absolute minimum since I don't feel hunger, take my baths using the water without permission. I stopped eating tea and cake, since they're troublesome. I wear some clothes a few days in a row, so as to not ask for laundry, and I pore through my favorite books alone in the reading room until midnight. I live a perfectly comfortable life, until Granny finds me and carries me off to be taken care of by Vio. Mother and Granny were crying. What about this is so terrible? In the meantime, the various things that have kept me so busy. I have a lot of backdoor saint work to do. Well, I have a list of work to do. I don't really want a reward, and all the participants kept it a secret, but a stream of rumors was flowing through the royal capital. I was set up as the center of a newly founded association by nobles. The camaraderie of the meeting's participants was very strong, so being betrayed would be impossible. A large amount of money and goods were given to me to earn my favor. The name of the association was the Saint Association, turning shining light to darkness. What the heck is with that title? Yeah, Russia-sama. Today, I would like to introduce a friend of mine, the Duke Capel's brother, Zest. Hi. Yeah, Russia Joe, I am pleased to finally meet you. I can only be grateful that an unworthy person like me can meet you. Yeah. That's darn right. Duke Capel is from a house we don't get along with. He is still young, in his late 30s. After asking for my blessing in this meeting, he's hugging and crying into the shoulder of his friend, Viscount Rubon. It's depressing. So, Zest-sama, is it okay for you to be here? Yes. I left the Capel family to become a noble merchant. My loyalty is no longer to my brother. Even now, I am dedicated to His Majesty. I ask Princess to forgive me for the actions of my brother. I know. I understand. I won't say such a dangerous thing. I stared at him, half amazed, and stopped forcing my smile. Then, Zest-sama, may darkness cover your shine. Ooh. Even their despair puts me in a good mood. Let there be light. Holy magic needs to have a clear image, and a pure magic to realize it. As a demon, with human knowledge of another world of light, I was able to bring it out to a higher level. It's difficult even for me. Other priests have found it impossible, holding the image of regeneration, carefully alternating between purification and growth. At the same time, it can't be too strong or too weak. I need to have minute knowledge for the image. In response to my holy magic, his skin was gently concealed with a faint seaweed-like substance and his shining scalp was lost. Ooh. She did it. She did it. Zest-san and Viscount Rubon hugged each other, tears of joy in their eyes. How annoying. From now on, you should abstain from fried foods. Please center your diet around vegetables, fish, and beans. Make sure to massage the scalp. It's good to tap it gently with a soft brush. Oops, I unintentionally gave him instructions like an infomercial. Thank you, yeah Russia Joe. No, Princess yeah Russia. From now on, I'll be accommodating the Toru territory with my company's goods. Is that so? At that time, I'll be counting on you. I respond to Zest's comment in full. Duke's daughter mode. This comfortable feeling will have my wife and daughters stop calling me Grandpa-chan once more. Thank you very much. By the way, the money I receive is hush money. In this way, their shine has been lost from this country. The faction of men who worship me has quietly spread behind the kingdom's back. The hell's with that. My monthly trips to the royal castle continue. The inspections could have been faster without this. I shouldn't say that aloud. I like to meet with grandmother and Elise-sama, and today we're having a tea party along with Shelly. Shelly-sama, there's no need to be scared. Why yeah. Shelly and I are walking down the corridors of the royal castle, Bree-chan and Sarah-chan on either side. Your nervousness is obvious from your voice, Shelly. Why is it that when I'm with other children, they act like knights? It's alright, Shelly. Grandmother and Elise-sama aren't all that scary, you know. So as to not scare the cute Shelly, I used a gentle voice. Well, this will be the first time only one person has been invited to a tea party in the royal castle. I'm with her, but it can't be helped, since she's a 7-year-old being invited by the queen and crown princess, right? By the way, that last one was me. By the way guys, what's there to be surprised about? There must be a reason somewhere, right? It can't be. Are they trying to say they're frightened of me? Because Princess Sama, when we're in the royal castle, you sometimes put this blank expression on, and Shelly and Bree-chan nodded at Sarah-chan's remark. Well, I'll be damned. Random dialect here, because who knows why. Actually, I'm a little self-conscious about that. Since my 5th birthday party, there have been more and more people visiting the royal castle. Most people would smile and greet me, saying good to see you and head off, but sometimes they'd talk for 30 minutes or like an hour, yapping about Timothy Kun or Rig. Yeah, such information is unneeded. I'll lightly smile and put out my intimidation, until they go away. Shelly and Sarah-chan show strange faces at Bree-chan's murmurs. From the other side, some sort of minister. A noble. This detestable man had the tenacity to greet me for more than an hour the first time. Good day. Perfectly concealed facial expressions, no emotion in the voice. Aren't I just one-sidedly giving way? Being treated like this is much better. Some people show hostility from first sight. It's the prince's daughter that he made with the royal maid, they'd say. Yeah, I can understand that. Since Uncle Sama and Elise Sama have been monogamous, there have been no concubine children. As the duke's daughter and princess, my face is quite different. But my hands are filled with love for humans. Indeed, they're not as appetizing as the beautiful woman with red hair. To that person who called me a bastard, I summoned large amounts of cat-sized bugs into his mansion. I've become quite good at drawing magic summoning formations, if I do say so myself. Foo. It's a bad idea to make an enemy of a demon. Next to the usual palace flower garden, Shelley and I continued through the door. Yeah, Russia. Rick, what happened to Rockerick Nizama? You ask. Whatever, it's fine, it's just Trick. When he saw me, he grabbed my arm rudely and started walking UK's Yuka. Mew. Why do you people always grab the arm? You need to go somewhere immediately. What the heck is this? You shitty brat. Because Roderick Nizama is being too rough. I put on a tough attitude, and after glancing at the arm he was gripping, I tore my arm from Rick with a groan as he relaxed the power in his hand. Why aren't you letting go? But, yeah, Russia is wrong. What Tilda? When I look at him, Rick diverts his eyes, as if somehow troubled, and speaks in a muttering tone. You didn't come before. I've met with grandfather and grandmother every time, though, not that. You went off for local inspections to help uncle. Don't you know it's dangerous? You're surprisingly informed. Yeah, well, it's not that dangerous. It's no problem to a demon. Let go of my hand. I wonder. Recently, strange things have been happening. Just recently, a massive outbreak of cat-sized bugs appeared in the mansion of a noble. Teehee. Apparently someone went missing as well. She was a noble child. Oh? I wonder if Shelley is alright. Oi. Don. My carefree thoughts were pushed out as I was pinned against a wall with my arm in his grip. If rumors of this got out. No, it can't be, since Rick will be 10 in a few months. His larger body is a bit scary. Rick, I worry about you. You're the princess of this country. My mother worries about your well-being. Yes, it's not good to get angry, but really, the family seem to be grieving around me. You have me. That, I'm there for you. Like a sister would be. Yeah. Putting myself into the family. Houghton dear. Chapter 10, Heading Out for Tea Part 2. Since we were late to the tea party, the cute Shelley had a teary face. Apologize, Rick. Yeah, Russia Sama. I am the second daughter of Marquis Manchai, Beatrice. I hope to get along with you. Beatrice Chan, age 8. A girl with beautiful black hair and azure eyes, though her ladylike elements ended there. Yeah, good to meet you, Betty Sama. Did you shorten my name? I'm older than you, you know. Then may I call you Yaru Sama? It's alright with me. Betty. Good. Yup, as I though, she's a cute fair-headed child. We're becoming fast friends. Wow. Yaru has a flower in each hand. Yup. Shelley is similar to Betty in that it's also her first tea party here. I'm currently hamstrung between the embraces of the two people. I'm so firmly stuck that I can't even drink my tea, which amused grandmother and Elise Sama as I tried to bring tea or sweets to my mouth. What kind of harem is this? Hey you three, have you been to any other tea parties? Elise Sama asked in a carefree tone. My loose-speaking manner is definitely from the influence of the presence of Mother and Elise Sama. I've been to Aunt Sama's tea party. Yup. You're hopelessly lively. Betty. I've gone with Aunt Sama to Yaru Sama's mother's tea party. Yeah, I was invited to Shelley's mother's tea party. Although the first tea party was compulsory, participation in others was a matter of choice. After that, Shelley and I had tea together. Yeah, together with Yaru Sama. Yaru, Shelley. How sneaky. Invite me. Invite me. Yup, all right. Why yes, I'll be in your care, Betty-sama. Hopelessly lively indeed, Betty. So, anyways, do you know about the moonlit tea party? While Shelley inclined her neck in confusion, Betty, who was a second year at the academy, thought of it. That thing, my elder sister's friend spoke about it. It's a secret tea party that can't be talked about until after it's done. Yeah, that thing. Do you know of anyone who has been to it and come back? A friend of mine has participated. It seems to have been wonderful, so I heard. When she mentioned the story from her sister, Betty had a dreamy expression filled with yearning on her face. Elise-sama knitted her eyebrows ever so slightly. If you ask me, I'd rather have none of you three participate! Exclamation mark. Really? I didn't think anything of it since Shelley and I had no longing to go, but Betty, who desired deeply to join in, looked aghast. Why is it bad? Elena-sama, I don't mean that it's necessarily bad or anything, but you can't even tell if the letter of invitation is really from the OBU household. Has anyone ever actually seen the guests with the invitation? Since the invitations don't remain after you participate, what happens can't be verified at all. That's certainly true. Even if there are no problems with the moonlight tea party, some perverse copycat trickster might use it to kidnap people. Have there been any people missing recently? When I remember the remarks of Rick, Elise-sama shows a surprised face, and patted my head with a complacent smile. It certainly seems shady. I understand, Elise-sama. Allow me to give you something good. What is it? I struggled to bring out my arm that was squashed, and take something out of my pocket. Just an invitation to the moonlit tea party. At my words, everyone's eyes went wide. Well, Shelley is still eating cake. Is that real? WHWHWHWH, what are you doing? Yeru. It can't be shown to anyone else. It's nothing much. This one is the third one to arrive since this morning. The third? When it was one per day, I sent them back. After a week, 2 a day started coming. Those went into the trash without me reading them. Now it's already been 3 since this morning. As expected of Yeru. Will you be participating? I don't know what Elise-sama expected. She seems amazed. Of course not. If I didn't give this to Elise-sama, it would have been burned. Be burned? It's fine if you stop being so surprised, Betty. Also, Shelley, even if you understand and are not interested, please stop with your 4th slice of cake. Ahaha, Yeru is so interesting. May I have this? I'd like to have a look. Sure, go ahead. As I tried to shuffle forward in my dress, my awkward position finally kicked in and the letter fell off the table. Betty jumped at it like a puppy. Princess Yeru-sama, about those kids. Why yeah. Let's talk. Even though she said so in a calm tone, Vio had a serious face and her forehead was twitching. I urged her to go ahead. It's been more than half a year since I've talked with the 4 children. I don't take them with me. I don't want them to take care of me. But their salary keeps being paid and they're shopping using my name. The cases of entering the mansion's important facilities are also not down. It's the same thing as a parasite. Those 4 people don't do anything. Really, they do nothing. In the present situation, they should be impatient to improve, seeking work on their own, or at least have resigned from serving the Duke and returned home or something. What did they do? Every day. Every single day, they laze about and haven't done any work in the mansion for months. Not just that. There's more. Vio keeps going on. It won't ever end. To others, people who do not work, do not eat, but these are the personal servants of Princess Yeru-sama. Giving meals is part of my authority. But they've gone over my head and tried to negotiate with the dinner staff within the first year. And as soon as they were told it's unacceptable, they started going out to eat daily. Oh, they're amazing. Since they're paid so well, they're eating out all the time. But I didn't stop them. Every day? Yes, every day. And at a high-class restaurant at that. Princess Yeru-sama, have you seen this? Vio brought out a box with several things in it. A one-handed sword that was tinged with magic which looked familiar, a pocket watch made of gold and silver, several of Father's treasured books from the library, several of my accessories from the parties. These are These were found by a contact of mine. This is what we managed to repurchase after those 4 people sold them off. They've really done it. These guys, the twins, are for sure guilty. The book was what Christina was reading. But Fontaine is not fully confirmed as guilty. Princess Yeru-sama. This is something I found in the depths of the storeroom Fontaine has been using as her playground. What? Looking at the unusually pained expression that Vio has, I timidly peered into the offered box. ! My shoes were torn to tatters. My dress was muddy and frayed. The picture book was torn from reading, and ruined with crayon to the extent where no words could be read. It wasn't done in hatred. All of them were destroyed through play. And the silver comb that I received as a 3rd birthday present from mother had missing and bent teeth. The stuffed animal I received from father on the same day, that I hugged to sleep every night, had been torn and thrown in the back of the shed. The rabbit ears torn and its limbs mangled. I lifted them with trembling hands, embracing them tightly to my chest. Why? I don't understand. I can't understand. As I muttered, tears began to overflow from my eyes, spilling onto the broken stuffed animal. Why am I crying? Even though I'm a demon, the moment my tears showed, Vio's cup of water bubbled and overflowed due to her magic. Wait. Please wait a moment, Yeru-sama. I'll settle them soon. Hi. Even though she had a calm face, Vio's eyes look like they're about to leave her head. I hurriedly grabbed the maid to hold her back. Don't. Why, may I ask? They have. Vio should not do that. Hearing my voice that wasn't childlike, Vio stopped and pat my head and hugged me until the tears stopped. I am Ria-sama's junior. She helped me so much. Vio was talking in short bursts while hugging me. Though I was a commoner, she cherished me. When my parents' store was about to fall, rather than rely on another house, I had to work as a salesgirl despite never having done it before. Ria-sama tutored me as I began to fall behind on my studies as I was helping out at home. When I graduated, Ria-sama was already pregnant with Princess Yeru-sama, and I became a maid in order to return the favor to Ria-sama. Ria-sama is my treasure, and Princess Yeru-sama is also my treasure. No, the treasure of everyone who lived in Ria-sama's that house. Me and Fur and Min as well. We loved you as her daughter and as a sister. The master brought us out, and now this is the house we love with Yeru-sama. Please never forget that. Yeah, okay. All done crying. Now that my heart is full of human feelings, it's time for my daring personality swap. From the human mindset, I switch to the demon me. I'm a half-baked demon and a half-baked human. That's why I am both a demon and an princess, and that's my true self, Vio. Yes. When I rose and called her name, Vio knelt down, not to Ria's daughter, nor the Duke's daughter, but the individual, Yerushia. For the first time. Is there anything else you know regarding those people and the things they perpetrated? No, I did the investigation alone. Please forgive me as I had limited time. It doesn't matter. Then keep this matter an absolute secret. However, other people know of the debauchery of these people, and the amount of money spent redeeming the items they sold was more than could be reasonably concealed. If it's money, I have some private assets with the firm in the royal capital. Since there is a branch in the city, use my name, and work freely. Understood? Now, you can leave it to me. It's Spartan, but it's worth less than your heart. You can't come back here anymore. Tell all the others so. Understood? So as to not worry mother, go to her quietly. Yes sir, Yerushia-sama. Since a 6-year-old said such things, I thought the mood would be ruined, but Vio obediently listened to me. Now if only your overprotectiveness would slightly subside. Now then, what should I do to them? In fact, I'd already decided a little while ago. Out of my bed, I take out a small box that I wasn't sure what to do with. Though it was a jewelry box and had some jewels in it, there was a concealed letter within it. I wonder if this will help. Foo. I've finally done it. The girl stared at the jewelry box in front of her eyes, unable to suppress her joy. Inside was one copy of an invitation. It was the event the noble girls of the Holy Kingdom longed for, an invitation to the Moonlight Tea Party. It had finally reached her. With glossy silver hair like moonlight, skin so white that it looked like it shunned the light of day, purple eyes that resembled jewels in the night sky. Around 15 years old, the girl had a voluptuous smile and was blessed with frighteningly good looks, almost to the point of being inhuman. Silver Princess. Or so she was called by those who knew her. 4 things like letters were on a plate the size of a jewelry box. They were surrounded by ash. Their lilac invitation is sent to the girls together with a light blue invitation. When one is touched by the eyes of a non-sender, the magic would quietly burn the other. Until 4 were sent each day, they became ash on the day of delivery. Surprised at the sight, Milan ground her teeth. Originally, only 1 letter of invitation was sent. The reason why people who do not follow the pledge are not invited to the moonlit tea party was that it would be dangerous. Carefully, these redundant measures are necessary. It was the minimum precaution so as to not make a blunder. But that girl is a different case. Connected to the blood of the royal family, their princess of the Holy Kingdom, with virtue high enough to be referred to as a saint, and hearing rumors of the beautiful golden princess, she seemed like a special presence. With all of her effort resulting in the party becoming highly sought, Milan did not think a girl who would refuse the invitation to the moonlit tea party existed. Half of the time, she was obstinate, sending her back the invitation. But finally, with the help of Count Obu and the Countess, a small box was sent. It was filled with large jewelry that was usually not given to children. If she was uncomfortable coming alone, she could bring 4 or 5 attendants along with her. Count Obu told her to give up if this was not accepted. The Countess had said there would be no problem by just increasing their people slowly over time. They're a cautious group. This was the wisdom of people who had lived for a long time. But the factions, forces, were equal. Who are they? Those that knew the old days of Oblivia, who was holed up for many years, would look at the person and say, "Who are you?" But this bet is my win. Milan laughed fearlessly. The invitation that was in the small box, not only was it shown to be open, but still only 1 person had seen it. It seemed that the Golden Princess had finally decided to accept the invitation of the Silver Princess. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. If they could have the Holy Princess that had the royal blood follow them, then their force of Milan would surpass the other 2, and they could destroy the armed nation Tata Udo. They may even destroy the next country. Quietly, the Holy Kingdom was approaching a disaster. Chapter 11, Children of the Night Part 1. What can we do for you? It was late at night, and cold. I called the 4 children to the garden near the back gate. I'm alone without anyone nearby. A feeling of contempt is coming from the 4. These guys. I am going to a tea party. You guys will be coming with me. When I say so, they all showed similar reactions. Noah is quizzically staring at me. Ninette looks like she finds it bothersome, stifling a yawn. Fontaine is happily crushing ants beneath her feet on the stone. Christina's expressionless eyes opened a little at my mention of a tea party. I give a thin smile to Christina, the apprentice maid. Yeah, Christina. After this, we'll be headed to the moonlit tea party. How absurd. You don't have an invitation. Besides, if you tell someone else. Milan-sama compromised with me and said that bringing 4 people as attendants would be alright, as I said so, and showed the letter of invitation. Christy snatched it away to read, and then turned to me with an even bigger look of disbelief on her face. We are currently busy. Noah, the butler apprentice, seems intrigued, but is being obstinate, while Ninette nodded along to her twin brother despite not understanding at all. How could you be busy? Ninette, if you'll be my guard, I'll give you this sword. Eh? I passed Ninette the sword she sold away, and her eyes sparkled as she stared at it in wonder. Oi, Ninette. Yes. Noah, this here is for you. When I handed over a gold pocket watch, Noah made a face like he had just bitten into a particularly bitter bug. Well, that makes sense. Ninette didn't realize, but all of this was evidence of their embezzlement. Therefore, he is being cautious of me, who easily returned it to him. So I, their sucker child, was being calculatedly seen as a ticket to an effortless future. Although an honest apology would do. Would you like something as well, Fontaine? No need. Will there be candy, tea and delicious sweets as well? If the rumors are true, please eat plenty. Got it. I'll go. At least Fontaine understands. Thank you for coming. Vio had guided the back gate guards away as two Obelia family carriages came in. How clever of them. Not using a large carriage. Their origin is much harder to find when tight corners can be cut. All of you, get into the carriage. I must say, the butler's hand which is helping me up smelled quite like a beast. As I got into one of the carriages. Those children, I wonder what their faces look like now. Nervousness? Delight? It doesn't really matter. They boarded the back carriage, to keep face for father. Enjoy tonight's trip. Could this be you all's final chance? The carriages we boarded were shaking. It was completely isolated from the outside, but I felt like we were moving several times the speed of a normal carriage. I wonder if this can be commercialized. It's probably impossible. The thing that is taking us to our destination without so much as turning is certainly not of human make. The carriage arrived without incident. Welcome. We thank everyone for coming. Doll-like beautiful butlers and maids were lined up on either side of the center aisle, on which a beautiful lady wearing a deep purple dress having the smell of a beast greeted me. I am Milan, Count Obiu's eldest daughter. She had an enchanting smile that gently melted the hearts of people that saw it. The four people behind me were also staring into those jewel-like purple eyes, that they'd forget themselves for a while can't be helped. Now then, were you bewitched the moment you met her? How strange. Milan thought as she saw today's guests. Russia, who was called the Golden Princess, was even more beautiful than the rumors stated. Despite her age, the moment her figure appeared from the carriage, even the butlers and maids who were used to Milan were shaken. Even Milan forgot to scold the servants, so breathtaking was her beauty. Milan was frustrated as soon as she became aware that she was charmed by the entrance. Russia had not moved, and Milan had recovered before her attendants. As expected of one called a saint, I may need to use stronger magic than usual. TL. These are thoughts. BTW. Milan's expression fell. Impossible. In both looks and charm, their human being, Russia was not inferior to Milan. I am Russia, third daughter of Duke Vyuzhnia. Holding the hem of her dress, a dark blue dress with white frills that seemed to be made for dolls, slightly bending her waist, her graceful bow was the very definition of princess. The count and countess who had just arrived were also charmed by the greeting. The voice that echoed in the silence frustrated Milan and her comrades. Milan-sama, what about the other participants? No, it was such an effort to bring you here, Russia-sama, that no others could be invited today. With the finest feast in front of them, those useless snacks would only be obstacles. In that sense, the servants that she brought would not even serve as an appetizer. Until now, they had never eaten children who hadn't tasted bad, so they had usually sent them back. But perhaps as thanks for their service, these children could be granted to the butlers and maids. Russia, who holds the highest protection out of the royal family, even though she could have brought out her knight escort, she only brought such thinly flavored children with her. Although she was likely smarter than her age showed, ultimately, she was still a child. As proof, the four children that called Russia master were off receiving the hospitality of the beautiful servants, smiling as through they were about to melt away. Milan felt her heart leave its cage at this. Of course, there was no human being that could meet their eyes and bodies that could still go on normally. The three of them were among their noble grade, and their status was far higher than anyone else here. Suddenly, they felt sweat begin to appear on their back. Looking around, they saw Russia quietly staring at Milan with a doll-like smile. Is something the matter? Nothing. I'm glad I don't need to worry about the children. But you know, Milan-sama, why were you so concerned about having me come here? That is. Our apologies. The graceful smile of Russia surprised Milan so much that she had already instinctively apologized. Until now they had scoffed at the attitude of the pretend nobles, and had never bowed their head to anyone else. Why was it, to the entertainers and guests, their words of Russia placed herself lower than Milan? Unforgivable. Me, Such an inferior human. Though, something was strange. What was this sense of discomfort? What was this strange feeling? Like leaving something unbuttoned, only to notice at the end of the day. Or like wearing only one shoe, but not noticing. Where was that feeling coming from? Was it coming from her after sending the letter of invitation to her? Or maybe because she came from this country? That's absurd. Impossible. Before Milan came to this country, she already had a plan. This holy kingdom was a place where saints and heroes were born. Their holy power even reached into the dirt. Because of this, the public had strong faith, and it was said to be difficult for beasts or dark creatures to live here. That was why she came. In the center of the holy kingdom, nobody would think that their nobles would actually be infiltrated by a terrible monster. Carefully, slowly, from behind the holy kingdom's back, she would slake her thirst for blood. When Milan came out of her thoughts of the past, Yerushia was sitting across from her at the table, her back resting in the chair, filing her nails with something like a stone with an uninterested look. The red tea in front of her had already gone cold. "You guys, replace Yerushia-sama's tea," Milan hurriedly ordered the servants, but a thought suddenly crossed her mind. Why would the servant make the mistake of leaving someone's tea long enough for it to cool? She immediately realized why. Those good-looking butlers and maids who had captivated hundreds of daughters were captivated by the cold beauty of the young Yerushia. They had stopped working, freezing to stare at her. How awkward. So many people were unable to fight against her charm, looking with bloodshot eyes, their drool falling. Their appearance as human beings had become impossible to maintain. If those lesser servants went crazy, they may not be satisfied with only those 4 other children. The atmosphere that had begun, the Count and his wife began to move, but the atmosphere was stopped. Changing the tea is unnecessary. There, Princess's voice was dignified and cool. Yerushia let out a deep sigh, and while looking away from Milan murmured while still polishing her nails. "Ever since I boarded the carriage, I've been neglected and left alone. If I am still being neglected now, why did I even come in the first place?" Greatest apologies. Milan lowered her head to Yerushia while grinding her teeth and fangs. She was rapidly reaching her limit. It would have been best if their top-grade prey called Yerushia had been completely charmed, and she thought that whether it was done in small stages or all at once would have been enjoyable either way. But, with the atmosphere she had caused with her tricks, a person like the transcendent Milan could no longer allow herself to lower her head. Good enough. Now, it's time to eat. With her head still down, her fangs grew out of her lips. Milan saw, out of the corner of her beautiful, onion-like eyes, that something small rolled by. "I'm returning you this claw sharpener. It's too small." Wah! A large piece of ruby, about the size of an adult's fingertips. It was one of the gems concealed in the small box sent to Yerushia, a jewel of enough value that it could buy an aristocrat's mansion, but it was so casually tossed onto the ground. This caused Milan such anger that she even felt dizziness, but Yerushia with her clear voice multiplied it further. "Hey! Did you know that a few years ago, a neighboring country, Tata-Udo, had some turmoil involving vampires?" Those words, not only Milan, even the faces of the Count and his wife hardened. "Yerushia-sama, what are you talking about?" At the impersonal cold voice of Milan, the 4 children who were in a dreamy state shook as if waking from a dream. The butlers and maids stared at her without expression. Only Yerushia, at the center of all of the glares, continued to speak without breaking a smile. "It's just a monologue. There was supposedly a strong vampire, but I heard that it was quickly subdued, to be defeated by mere humans. Vampires are no big deal, after all." During the monologue, the facial expressions of the Count and wife distorted. They quietly trembled as their thirst for blood rose. The thirst for blood coming from Milan was especially impressive. The anger turned into hatred. The overflowing malice caused the surrounding luscious lawn to decay in an instant. "What are you trying to say?" Yerushia's complexion did not change with the killing intent, throwing a letter from her pocket onto the lawn. "There, invitation, the fragrance of a rose. It can't disguise the stench of a beast." At that time, The beautiful maids and butlers' faces distorted into those of beasts, letting out sound as their intimidating fangs were born at Yerushia. Hi-ee-ee-ee. The four children, finally knowing the reality around them, hugged each other, trembling while shedding tears. They were only able to keep their sanity at this feast of nightmares because their master, Yerushia, was not scared. But that was it. Wearing a calm smile, their master was a saint. They hoped she would earn enough time for them to escape on their own. You noticed from the start, the title of Saint. I'm glad that it wasn't a sham bought with noble gold. That title was something that was given without my permission. That title is so embarrassing. I just wanted a peaceful life. Yerushia ignored the facial expressions of the children, let out a sigh. Then, little miss, this will be nice and easy, if you just give me your blood. The old vampire calmly offered a compromise. Count Oblivion's smile reached his ears as he laughed. Saint Sama seems to have a lot of leeway. The three of us have the advantage in experience, hundreds of vampires, and the 3,000 runs that make escape impossible. The Countess gracefully licked her bright red lips with a long, lizard-like tongue. That Yerushia, even if they had the rumored power of a legendary class of saint, would be hard-pressed to survive taking on this number. Milan knew the ability of her two companions well. The wife and Milan are 200 years old. The Count is an ancient vampire that has been alive for 500 years. Mere human beings could not hope to defeat such things alone. Milan knew that it would be possible for the other two to run away if just one of them remained to fight. Hence Milan had a feeling of anger in her heart towards the Count and his wife, who had escaped the country at the very start. Well then, catch me if you can. Yerushia's words sounded like that of a child having fun as she clapped her hands down. The wife, who noticed that she answered as if she would escape, was at a loss for words. With such a strange atmosphere, Yerushia pointed her friendly smile towards her servants. You guys, good luck. I'll forgive you if you successfully escape from these people. Her bright voice multiplied the effect of her heartless words. Yerushia spread out her little arms to stretch. Let there be light. Without any fear or tension, nobody could react to her all-too-natural action. As the vampires noticed that Yerushia had casted holy magic and went on guard, they saw an unbelievable thing. A light that was neither dazzling or white, but was darker than mere darkness, a black light that spread as if ink had been dumped on the world. Even the vampires could not have foreseen this newly dyed night. In the confusion, everyone heard the echo of the merry voice of Yerushia. Now I'll be the seeker, Fufafu. Chapter 12, Children of the Night Part 2. All around her was darkness. She couldn't see anything. Fontaine clasped her small hands together after managing to escape from that terrible place. See Chris.Chan. Though she thought that Christina was pulling her hands and so called out, nobody responded. There was a dark forest from which even the sounds of insects chirping couldn't be heard. A little ways away from her, she could see the house where the monsters lived. But right now there was no one but her. Fontaine looked around uneasily. Fontaine couldn't help but want to help herself. She didn't understand at all why that person had left her all alone, and felt despair. Why would anyone leave a child like her alone in a place like this? The monsters called vampires were scary. But this dark forest was scary too. She hated being scared, and wanted to run away. Yerushia had said to run away as well, saying she'd forgive us if we escaped. But why did you let us run away? Fontaine did not understand. Fontaine was born a noble, but did not feel any aristocratic pride. She would not even mind living as a commoner. As far as she was concerned, it made no difference. To Fontaine, all of the things in the world belonged to her. She didn't understand their boundaries between herself and others. She didn't mind if her own things were taken away, but also didn't mind taking away from other people the important things of others. She didn't understand how important they were to that person. She would even take the lives of small animals in her play. But even Fontaine understood that if she didn't eat, she would starve to death. Dying was scary. As a child, of course it was natural for her to be protected, but the parents who should have protected her were already dead. After that, The protection from the Duke person was weakened, and then the people after that who should have protected her, the twins and Christina, were so frightened, and she never ever considered that she would ever have to protect herself. So, moving along the sequence of protectors, Mistress protects me. Not only did she face that horrible monster without fear, the princess even had a smile on her face. Since she was her master, it was natural to be protected by her. Having reached that conclusion, rather than flee to the forest, Fontaine walked towards the place where hopefully Yerusha and the vampire still were. The fear faded away before she knew it. Thinking about it, because Fontaine's concept of the boundaries between individuals was very thin, she believed so. Because my life is important to everyone, I don't need to fear for it. Since Fontaine saw her life as most precious, she didn't doubt for a moment that it was important to everyone else. She boldly returned to the gate of the mansion. No vampires found her on the way back. As she took a cake from the wagon on the way and walked to the garden while munching, she noticed someone behind them. A small breath was approaching, not a person, a thing. Fontaine held her breath as it appeared from the cold darkness. A black dog emanating frost, a vampire familiar, Deathhound. Here, her face distorting in fear, Fontaine instantly broke into a run. 2. No. 3. 4 more dogs appeared from the darkness and had begun to harass their weak prey like a pack of wolves. Why? She couldn't understand why she was being attacked. She couldn't understand why nobody was helping her. Weighed down with despair and fear, Fontaine moved towards the girl that was her master, crying in the darkness, "Save me." There was no response, only the sound of tearing and a muffled scream as the sound of ripping spread through the night. "It's not real. It's not real. It's not real." Ninette was squatting in the shadow of the wall close to the main gate of the mansion, her teeth chattering while she held her sword, tightly clutching her sword hilt. As her knuckles turned white, Ninette continued to mumble curses quietly. It can't be. Not only did that monster exist, but that monster took the shape of a noble, and she had been forced to participate in that sort of tea party, and the princess had to provoke the monster, and the princess looked like she was having fun, and because of that her own life was in danger, and all that was unbelievable. "I hate this. I don't wanna die. I wanna go back to my easy life." Ninette hated troubles things. Her twin brother was willing to be subservient to others for his own comfort, but Ninette felt doing so was too much work for her. To have the fine eye of consideration to be a maid was too troublesome. To train in the sword to become a knight was too troublesome. To go along with her elder brother's plans was too troublesome. To humble herself in front of other people was too troublesome. To work was too troublesome. She just wanted to live an effortless life. If one was strong with a sword, they were recognized by only that. Those escort knights would clean up any enemies who attacked the Duke's daughter and settled everything. If she became captain of the knights when she grew up, she could just leave all the guarding to her subordinates and live easily. In that sense, Ninette was better, relative to the others. She had already made plans for her own future, somewhat. That was why, facing the thought of dying in a place like this, Ninette couldn't take it. Princess. Fault. Using the sword as bait, Ninette was fished into a dangerous place. She wanted to swiftly run away. Even though that princess had said to do so, Ninette could not run. She had depended on her parents, then her brother, until now, after abandoning all her thoughts for the sake of living an easy life. She did not know how to put in the effort to escape alone. Quiet footsteps could be heard from the back of the dark forest. They were small footsteps which she had not heard until then. Ninette was able to hear the flood of footsteps like ripples, and monsters with the figures of people filled the area and were quickly approaching. Her mouth was so dry that it was hard to breathe. Thousands or more monsters, wearing the clothes of commoners. Some of them smiled with bestial smiles as they noticed where Ninette was hiding. Although in her hands was a sword imbued with tremendous magic, she was just a child. And Ninette, who had only ever wielded the sword in play, couldn't imagine herself defeating even one monster. Ninette understood she would die. The monsters would push her down and tear her apart and eat her intestines while she was still alive. Damn it all! Crying her final tears, She cursed her parents, cursed her brother, cursed her comrades, cursed herself for involving herself with Yerushia, and with trembling hands, brought the point of the sword to her throat. At that time, Ninette took the only, easy, option, a huge chapel. This place, which stood in the grounds of Count Obiu's estate, singularly out of place for a place where monsters lived, was decorated brightly and looked incorruptible. Someone had brought Christina from a corner of the garden, where she had been hiding from the butlers in the shadow of the trees. She hadn't been treated roughly yet. Expressionless maids and butlers surrounded the altar of the chapel indifferently, staring silently at her, and Christina felt like she was about to go mad from fear. The opening of the chapel door broke the silence with its faint sound! As she saw the appearance of the person, Christina's eyes grew wide with despair. The unusually beautiful countess, followed by several servants, was carrying Noah, whose vacant eyes were filled with fear, like a doll. What had happened to Noah? Perhaps he was caught in his hiding place just like her. The expensive butler's clothing prepared by the ducal household had been torn in many places. From where she was, she could see a plethora of tooth marks on the boy's white skin. Looking at his face, his blood was probably sucked out for fun, rather than for mere hunger. Looking at his face caused Christina to twitch in fear as the countess pierced Noah's cheek shallowly with her fang, licking the fresh blood overflowing from his cheek with her bright red tongue. Christina looked with pity as Noah trembled every time the countess licked her blood. However, when the vacant eyes of Noah met Christina's, a small amount of life came into his eyes, and the boy put on a disgusting smile. "Her blood, if you please, is definitely more delicious than mine." The words that sold out not only his companion, but his human dignity, shocked Christina, and the countess put on joyous smile. "Ho ho ho, even though I was surprised by that, Saint Dono. You fellows really adorable." The interest of the countess moved away from Noah momentarily to the girl he had betrayed, Christina. "That's right, please make me your comrade, Mom. I want to take the blood of that girl who swindled others with the name of a saint." Gudja. Breaking off Noah's words mid-sentence, the countess chomped down on his shoulder, slowly chewing the bone, instead of sucking his blood. "I hate stupid children, you know." Noah was paralyzed with the pain and fear, while the countess had a smile like a beast on her face. "That person." The countess' eyes turned towards Christina's mutter. Christina was trembling. Her tears and trembling was not fear, but anger at Yerushia because of that person. This happened, just a mere concubine's child. Athena Sama and Ophelia Sama was sent far away, all because of that bastard child. Christina's mother was good acquaintances with the Duke's late first wife. Her mother worshipped Albertine. Her daughter Christina was thought of as a tribute to Albertine. Even though there wasn't a single good rumor about Athena Sama's generosity, Christina craved the beauty and dignity of a high noble and waited excitedly for a day to serve them. It all fell apart with the death of Albertine. She ended up serving Yerushia, who had seized all of the benefits Athena Sama was supposed to receive. In the beginning, Christina did not hate Yerushia, who she had not met. But, after seeing that Yerushia was so unconditionally beloved by the Duke, her mother, and everyone else in the household, when she compared Yerushia to herself, whose bright hopes, warm home, and noble position had all been lost, only hatred remained. That person. Kill them. Having lost her sanity to fear, she made her bitter confession of tears, and the countess tossed Noah aside. A delighted smile coming to her face, she softly spoke to Christina. At last, you've become delicious." Chapter 13, Children of the Night Part 3. "Hey, Yerushia here. I'm a little troubled at the moment. What should I do? I wonder." I sipped the cold and bitter tea while surrounded by the considerably narrowed blackness. "That's right. I haven't moved an inch from that place." "Well, actually I moved a little bit, to release those kids. I wonder if they've managed to escape." Being in this blackness, I can't tell what's happening outside. All the same, my hypothesis was able to be validated. A little. The light from there, light spirits, isn't limited to only being white. Maybe to someone they recognize, light spirits can also be dark spirits. If that theory is right, holy magic should be able to use fear, just like dark magic by the use of spirits. Well, that's all good. What should I do now? I couldn't believe the vampire chants went off looking for me like fools. All of you. You're surprisingly serious about this. It can't be helped. Should I just proceed? I'm a bit worried about those kids' situation. I think that if they seriously run, they can succeed in escaping, but it's not my responsibility, you know? You know, because I'm a demon. Gugio. In the mansion's hallway, I reflexively crushed together a maid vampire and a bowl with a clap. I got a little startled, thanks to the fact that vampires turned into ash when they died. I thankfully didn't get dirtied with blood. Well, if it gets dirty, I can just use purification and get clean again, but I'm glad that my dark blue dress won't get dirty in the first place since it might get bleached. But, whatever. Seriously, this mansion is huge. How long and how much did that count fill his pockets before moving here? This mansion is bizarrely big for a noble governing the countryside. Or rather, I wonder if land is cheap in this territory. In the large mansion, there was a floor under the huge chapel. Rather than to a basement, the stairs I found a little while ago led to a wide cave. Since there were about 1,000 runts in there, I only looked briefly, before returning. The thing that attacked during the inspection must have been one of those things called runts. Though they could move through sunlight, I don't feel like they're as powerful as a vampire. It's a blessing that Noel and Breechan haven't figured out what their true identity was, either. Really? Those vampires are way too bad at hiding their presence and smell. From the moment they become a vampire, they saw themselves as strong. They indulged in their ability too much. Learn a bit from the example of this weak demon and live modestly. But really, there are too many vampires here. Dozens of strong servants out in the field, and thousands of them are in here as well. How bothersome. I'm an incompetent demon with nothing but a ridiculous amount of magic power, after all. Since even dozens of bodies can only summon a lesser demon if they're good, I can be at ease, to some extent. But since my summoning is almost fully self-taught, there is no compelling force, so the lesser demons are frightened and don't come out. A dead end. Or not. There's a room. I walked through the pointlessly large mansion when I sensed a scent on the stone walls and floor. A dark red chain is hanging from the wall. I can see some odd tools. Is this a torture room? What a naughty hobby. Where's the fun in tormenting weak human beings, right? Oh. What's this? Is that you, Miss Yerusia? I heard that voice from the only exit in the torture room. At long last, the prey's been caught. Good evening, Countess. Sorry, I forgot your name. It's fine. That name of a countess isn't my real name. I see. I look at what the countess brought with her. That. Where did you pick that up? The countess was dragging Noah on the floor by his neck with one hand, holding Christina in the other. Christina had multiple fang piercings in her throat, and her overflowing blood was being sipped. The countess licked up the blood with her long tongue, then laughed in ridicule. I picked them up, although I thought that I would have to settle with bad-tasting children. This girl has a reasonably good taste. The countess intentionally tried to provoke me, given the fact that the attendants that I had brought along with me were being toyed with. I should have been getting angry and losing my calm. But those words that she said to me. Yeah, I completely agree. The countess' face flinched at my unceremonious reply. Her face regained its composure, after a brief moment, as expected of a Saint Sama. You're remarkably composed, unflappable even. The wife seemed to have misunderstood me. She is just like Millen, doubting me. However, due to the arrogance of the strong, instead of trying to make me surrender by force, she was trying to force my heart into despair with words. Foo-fa-foo. Humans are strange, you know. Hidden in the blood of humans with strong emotions is something sweet. Your blood, the blood of a saint. I wonder how sweet it will be? Now I get it. The vampire doesn't know that their sweet taste is their karma, in the soul of a human. Christina. To think you had such strong feelings. As I stared at Christina being silently, cruelly feasted upon, the countess, in her good mood, threw Christina and Noah to my feet like garbage. Since their taste has become thinner, I'll return them. You guys. At the voice of the wife, the maids in the back threw out two small things held in the same manner. Ninette Fontaine. I see. None of the four were able to escape. Ha ha. Are these children still alive? Do you want to know, Saint Samar? How about you use that holy magic you're so good at to heal them? The Countess said with a sneer, as if she thought I was silent out of fear. Then I realize, these four children, they're faintly breathing, but saving these children with holy magic is something that can't be done. Even if the flesh of these kids is healed, there's practically no soul left in them. The vampires unconsciously change the souls dissolved in human blood into their power. Why would they want it? You could guess when you looked at these kids. As each soul had been mostly sucked out, the thinned-out soul would seek something to fill it and was altered, causing the body and even mind to transform. The victim of a vampire is a vampire, not because of a curse or the transmission of a disease, but because the soul is altered. So vampires, seeking their lost soul, would seek out the blood of human beings which had their souls dissolved in. As living things died, their souls would rapidly disperse into the world. After being dispersed into the world, their soul does not have a destination. Even if the body was healed, their soul would not come back. That's why holy magic doesn't contain any spells like resurrection. If I leave these children alone as they are now, as soon as they stop breathing, they will become vampires. The children really can't be saved. But that's why I asked them, not as a human, but as a demon. Do you guys want to live? Said plainly with simple words. My whispered, demonic question reached into the core of their beings. At those words, the vacant pupils of the four children moved slightly. I treated it as acceptance. Their contract for their souls signed. Let there be light. As I cast the holy magic, the Countess' smile deepened. She knew that these children could not be saved with holy magic. But I was saving these kids not with the children's souls or feelings. Cautiously, I deployed multiple spells at the same time. The vampires did not disturb this holy-looking magic ritual. In accordance with the contract, I bind these souls as tribute. Show yourselves. What I used was a composite multi-layer summoning formation. The small magic formation had layer after layer of superimposed summoning formations. I could only draw it using pure magic. It was a far stronger formation than that incident. There was no compulsion in my call. But there are some things that only I can call. Now, come on out. By the order of the golden beast, me, the demonic princess. Come, demons. Doriri. At once, darkness like mud changed the color of the cloudy lights in the stone room. The vampires couldn't believe their eyes as their white light in the room was eroded as their blackness spread on the floor like cold tar, swallowing the four children like a bottomless swamp into its depths. Even as the vampires were overwhelmed by what happened, I recognized the four demons who crashed through my summoning formation and appeared. Each demon hovered over their choice among them, taking the fragments of their souls slowly and quietly. The four children stood up from the bottomless pit of darkness. Still, it was strange to see them clearly looking the same as the living children, even though they were obviously of an entirely different quality. The expensive suits paid for by the Duke looked like they had weathered the wind and rain for hundreds of years. The children wearing it gave off an ominous feel as they turned their madness-filled dark-eyed towards the vulnerable people in the room. Leaking a scream, the Countess backed up, and without hesitation fled toward the back of the room, while the confused vampire maids attacked the demons in their beast forms. Zan! Suddenly Ninette whipped out her sword from her waist, piercing everyone with one stab. The sword grew and swelled like a tree root. The stones of the torture room cracked with the loud laughter of Ninette, and all the maid vampires that were pierced by the sword instantly dried up, disappearing into dust. Devouring the soul and obtaining a vessel, it manifested as a demon with the form of a human. I guess that's what I ended up doing. What should I do? The 4 children, without a sound, lined up in front of me, kneeling in unison. Our Lady. After so long, Noah says on the group's behalf with a warped voice. As I thought. It's been a long time. Have you all been well? The ones I had raised in the demon world with those settings, it was the 4 demon children. That's no, then. Bluntly speaking, they look terrible. Their complexion is dark, and things like insects are wriggling in their blood vessels under their skin. A dangerous presence. Their stench of death was leaking from them and drifting across the stone floor. If I brought them back to human society as they are now, chaos would ensue. Besides, it bothers me. I used the remaining souls of those kids as the catalyst. Their souls were sacrificed at the same time and allowed to fuse with the demons. But I wonder if any parts of the kids are still left? Christina, is your human soul still there? Whether the essence was demon or human. I tried listening to Demon Christina, but her reaction was dull. Then, the demon answered me with a strange look. Greatest apologies. Is that the name that this one will be called? Do you mean there's none left? No. Their soul of the human I chose has certainly fused with me. However, a large portion of her soul was steeped in hatred for you, my lady. The demon Christina's face. Her face was distorted by the demon's quiet smile. That portion, I devoured it all and put an end to it. The other 3 nodded smugly at those words. Really, you all? Well, as long as there is even a little of that child left, their contract was fulfilled, although it feels like fraud. Also, my lady, we demons do not have a name. Being called by the name of the vessel is. I see. I forgot. When I called them the kids' names by accident, were they weakened as demons? At least I won't have trouble calling them. They're demons just like me. To name these children would be. Wait a second, you guys. Yes. My name is Russia. Remember it. Also, their demon princess, will be bestowing names to you guys. Right now, I have the attributes of a human. I might be able to use their naming to change their settings of these children. I don't know whether I will succeed, and yet, these demon children were hanging on to my every word with no doubt in their eyes. I turned to the demon fused with Noah. Your name is Noah. To the demon fused with Ninette. You are Nia. To the demon fused with Christina. You are Tina. Finally, to the demon fused with Fontaine. Your name is Fanny. Yup. A nickname based on their original names is better anyways. The named demons were kneeling in silence. When they rose, their appearance had changed. It's good it was a success. But their ominous auras had been contained by the naming. But just like me, their human flaws in their looks had disappeared from their original cute figures, and they had the cold beauty as if a doll had been combined with a human being. Didn't they change too much to become so tranquil just from being granted a name? Furthermore, have I done it? Oh well, it'll be fine. You guys, now that you've arrived, please clean up. Yes, I start walking with the 4. That was a little unexpected. Now, let's get started. Time to clean up those vampires' trash which built a nest in my feeding grounds. Chapter 14, Demon's Feast Part 1. Oh, by the way, I asked something I remembered while walking through the hallway. How did he treat you? At my question, the demons walking behind me winced. Hold on. What's with that reaction? Nobody said anything, as their girls looked around delicately. The only boy representative, Noah, spoke on their behalf. He has a pained look on his face. After law, Russia-sama went to this side. Everything got rough. Anything even nearby was destroyed. We only barely escaped. I see. After losing his pet, he freely ran amok. Not my fault. Such a thing doesn't matter. Russia-sama. Saying such a tragic incident in the demon world doesn't matter. It seems my carefree tone was transferred to you all. looking in her eyes closely. It really seemed like a fused. Ninette, what's wrong? Take a look at this. Ninette shows me her magic sword. What's this? Instead of its previous shine, the sword has become worn out and rusted. Why did it become like this? I was using it normally. I pick up the corroded sword grip and bring it to eye level, examining it closely with my fingers. Poking. It broke off. I didn't think I pushed too hard. It's all right. No problem. Noah broke into the conversation with words I've heard before from somewhere. As I picked up the sword tip, I thought that I was sure that most of the children's selves were lost in the fusion, but it seems like something strange was left. But, Nia, bring out the soul you absorbed a while ago. Yes, Tilda, brother. That reminds me, Noah and Nia originally had their setting of brother and sister. After a brief nod, Nia sends something like white mist towards Noah. It seems to be what Nia absorbed a little while ago from the formation. Noah, who received it, slid his finger across the broken sword. I repaired it fast. Rather, I don't know what you did there. Not just that, the formerly silver sparkly, magic sword, has become pitch black and is sending out a resentful moan like ooh. It's become an evil, magic sword. Unlike that, Noah, this one isn't a waste. With my configuration of them being brother and sister, Nia's release, and Noah's absorption, had no issues. As expected of brother, Nia received the sword, slashing her new magic sword toy around. Wherever the sword hit the walls, they rotted away and changed to debris. Please stop, that's dangerous. Noah, your clothes are not fit to be worn before Yarushia-sama. After seeing Noah's state, Tina directed a cold glare at him. The Countess had torn his clothes to rags. Shall I fix them, Tina? Yes, naturally. Tina quickly nodded, her head full of brilliant blonde hair. Noah's butler clothing showed signs of repair in the space of the blink of an eye. Ahaha, look, Yarushia-sama. It's all black. Laughing happily, Fanny hugged me from behind and pointed at the like-new butler suit which had become black. My impression of this child's fusion with Fontaine is that she doesn't appear to be much different. But that's wrong. Besides having completely different appearances from the original four, they also don't use a spoiled attitude when addressing me. They worship my present figure as the master to their servant. Even though I asked for a relationship of mutual trust, I wanted to make an effort to build a relationship with them. Where did I go wrong? Hey, Yarushia-sama, is there a strange smell all over? The pleased Fanny's nose suddenly twitched. That's right, Fanny. Do you know where it's coming from? Why yeah, it's all over here and there in the mansion. It's also strong underground. Checking my senses, that seems correct. That group of 3 vampires ran off. Milan ran towards the cave. Yarushia-sama, when we get outside, please leave it to me. As if reading my thoughts, Tina asked while kneeling in front of me. This child is calm just like the original. Christina, how competent. But there's a little difference. I'm fine on my own. Of course, Yarushia-sama. But for this lowly trash, you should not bother lifting your hand. I alone will be sufficient. Tina grew closer with every word she said, getting close to my face with feverish eyes. I see. I'm sorry, but I'd rather not touch lips with the original or this child. That's not how I wanted this relationship to be. Okay, let's go then, Tina. At the very last minute, Tina's neck stopped moving forward. Nia stopped thrusting her sword about with a smile, her eyes laughing. TCH. Tina, please don't click your tongue like that. For the time being Tina and Fanny will go together. Yes. With a childlike smile, Fanny nestled her cheeks against mine from behind and nodded obediently. In her shadow, Tina was mumbling, that's what I heard, but let's forget those mutters. Why did these children become like this? What were those things? The Countess was running away, rushing through the corridors full force, discarding her ladylike elegance. She did not know what had happened to her servants. To think that they had all been brought down by that saint. Impossible. The mere despicable human, Yarushia. Their saint, that everyone praised. Nobody would even think she would summon demons. Not just demons, they were clearly something more. Maintaining the appearance of a human was an ominous sign. At the presence of knowledge she saw as she met their dark eyes, the Countess immediately fled. As a precaution, she casted a mental curse on the maid vampires, though the confusion allowed her to escape, as she heard the soul-scraping laughter. Immediately after, the Countess was convinced of the demon's identity. The top-ranked demons capable of causing a catastrophe, grand spirits, archdemons. 4 of them? What kind of joke is that? If she had paid the cost and they manifested, there would be no escape. Whenever an archdemon had appeared in the past, it would either be defeated with an entire nation's army or be brought down by those breakers of common sense called heroes. Sometimes the people would have to wait and survive until they naturally dispersed. If they were not fully manifested, to call an archdemon, who is that saint? Well, even if that happened, nothing can be done just by thinking about it. A single human summoning and contracting with 4 archdemons would never be able to meet the sacrifice requests of the 4 beings. Having discovered that by now, that girl should have been eaten as a sacrifice to the archdemons, they should withdraw as soon as possible. The Count and Milan had sent their subordinates on their prey hunt, and were at the altar in the cave. If she combined her forces with them, they may be able to oppose an archdemon. That was why she did not fight, so that there would be a chance of conveying the crisis to them and quickly gather together their allies. Having abandoned her real name once, she did not have any hesitation at abandoning her compatriots. Still, I need to recover a little bit. Even if she wanted to leave the country, she would need some servants who could move through sunlight. In the chapel, dozens of her protégés, the maid vampires, were waiting. After she picked them up, she would leave the country right away. Count Obu and Milan would certainly be able to earn her some time to escape. Puff change. Tina went to the chapel alone. She wondered to herself. Golden Beast. Russia had given her a raw and fragile demon. Their power knowledge to let her transform. While she wasn't dissatisfied with it, and she held strong faith and worship for her master, she could not help but think of her as an oddball. What Russia had given had made Tina stronger, but brought changes of its own. The frayed soul of the weak human being she had fused with had, after she had eaten the blasphemous hatred towards master, allowed strange feelings for Russia to sprout. The adorable Russia-sama. I love her so much I just want to eat her. If you catch her meaning. Degrees. TL note: the above sentence was the author not us, no comment on the face. We do believe it improves accuracy of the translation. As Tina arrived alone at the chapel, while worrying endlessly, a new feeling appeared in the corner of her mind. The treatment by the Countess was still in her fused soul. There, hatred, coming from it. Tina faintly grimaced. It wasn't uncomfortable, though, since they were definitely her real feelings. Tina opened the door of the chapel slowly. She wanted to smash it in, but her great lord may have use of it. Puff change. Pulling together her maids, the Countess, who was hastening to escape from this land, was surprised to see a small shadow emerge from the slowly opening door. The figure was a young maid, a little girl with curling blonde hair with azure blue eyes. She had previously sipped her blood to torment her, although that fearful appearance didn't fit this demon. It was that little girl for sure. Something was off about her appearance, though. Even an ordinary person could see. Although her appearance was much more beautiful than before, the Countess felt a chill while looking at the expression on the face of this cool-headed doll. Gagawa. Without noticing it, all of their runts ran towards their young prey. There, girl placed her hands together in front of her waist and pushed them forward gently without the slightest inelegance. A cold beauty, quietly, crimson pupils, appeared in her eyes. Clishy, with a creaking sound, the hundreds of runts who were attacking their girl froze in their movements like statues, their color lost. Dozens of the runs who were about to attack from the ceiling fell to the floor and broke as through they were made of stone. The Countess was at a loss of words at the sight. The large intimidating aura of the archdemon was completely gone. She felt a large gap in power between them. Why, what irresponsible things! That brat summoned. As the Countess leaked her thoughts, a silent anger spread through the chapel. Golden whips, not unlike sculptures, seemed to come alive, wanting to tear everything to pieces, spreading their dark red blood along the walls and floor of the chapel. You lowly bush mosquitoes. Our mother and creator, you would use your words to disparage the son of the demon world. Know your place. The voice sounded like a curse from the underworld. There, girl, seemed aware of the Countess for the first time, her face distorting into a smile. Nice to meet you, Countess. I'm pleased to see you. As she said that, she bowed her waist gracefully like a noble. My master created me as a Medusa. She named me Tina. Anyways, goodbye. Saying such without emotion, Tina's golden curled hair swelled and tightened as if it had a will, and turned into countless golden snakes. There was no fight. There were several hundred runts and vampires in the room, but they were not allowed to resist or escape. Whenever anyone met the golden serpent's eyes around the quiet Tina, they were petrified, their souls scattered. The Countess was also petrified from the waist down, starting at their demon, with an expression of despair. The demon began work on the enemy chosen by her master with a joyful expression. A catastrophe had happened in the dark forest. It started all of a sudden. A lone white-haired girl appeared in front of the 1,000 or so runts. You know, I had Yarushia-sama name me. That girl was laughing joyfully. Looking at the innocent and defenseless girl, the runts wore bashful smiles. The runts reached out to try to catch the girl, but their hands passed through the image, only grasping a girl-shaped haze. The runts became confused. No one had caught her. They could not even touch her. To the runts who were absorbed in their orders, it did not seem strange that their girl was floating in the air among the trees. Their girl's white face hardened into a mask. A harlequin appearing on her face. The mask formed into a laughing smile, as if it had no cares in the world. Ready to start? The harlequin girl dismantled the 1,000 alive runts' bodies in a moment. She stripped the flesh from the bone, then dragged out the internal organs, taking out the nerves one by one. While their brains were in hideous pain, their mouths screaming in fear, but their bodies couldn't move an inch. Ready to start? Their bodies quickly returned to their original form at the voice of the harlequin girl, their minds going mad out of pain and fear. All of this work is happening simultaneously, everyone receiving it at the same time, further increasing their mad terror. Ready to start? Again and again, the nightmare repeated, the runts going mad, unable to die. I am Fanny. Nightmare Fanny. Though I don't think you people can understand anymore. After the nightmare, repeated several tens of thousands of times, all of the runts were alive, their hearts broken, standing like lumps of meat in the indistinguishable forest clearing. Well then. Job complete, Fanny said, then started to harvest the loosened souls, which were about to disappear. She did not like work, but work for Yarushia was another matter. In that lonely, scary, dark, cold demon world, Master Yarushia served as the lone presence of warmth, the sun to her weak self, who only knew of feeding. The excitement she felt the first time she felt that warmth could not be forgotten. After fusing with that person's soul, Fanny was thinking differently about her feelings than in that world, but that's natural. After all, this world is here for Yarushia-sama. You know. Chapter 15, Demon's Feast Part 2. Oh. Is this the end of our game of tag? Or did you already resign yourself to death? As we entered the cave, Milan called out to us in a condescending tone, surrounded with handsome butlers. Good. It's great that she's so confident. Count Obuyu, who stood next to her, is staring curiously at Noah and Nya, whose atmosphere had changed. I figured that Milan hadn't ordered her subordinates to attack as a deliberate show of her own confidence, but the Count is not doing so due to caution, as expected of the wisdom of elders. Or is it? Does age even matter to a vampire? I got tired of it, and I need to go home soon, so goodbye. While I got into my Duke's daughter mode and smiled, Milan's noble mask cracked a little as her mood worsened immediately. I spoke candidly. Although there seems to be less of you than when I first arrived earlier, did some of you become food to someone on their way here? I attacked them. They died. Nia returned without incident after her slaughter. Seriously, it's great to be able to relax. Well, the other two are keeping the Countess company at her other party outside. She seemed rather bothered, being left alone. So, yeah, Russia-sama, you still think you'll get home alive? Milan said, her voice drawing the thousands of runts forward, causing them to show their fangs in an attempt at intimidation. No need to be impatient. What should we do? Yeah, Russia-sama, may I please have your permission to exterminate the pests? As the vampire's thirst for blood swelled, Noah walked forward, asking me for permission in a calm tone. Yeah, Russia-sama Tilda, it's fine, right? Nia seems motivated. Isn't she? She's waving her sword around in a lackadaisical manner, looking bored. I guess she's motivated in her own way. Will you be alright? Milan and the Count seem decently strong, and I'd really hate it if these children were hurt. No problem. Okay, just don't try too hard and get hurt. Oh well, worst case scenario, I can fly them away. I thought comfortably. Nia, release. Yes. All of a sudden, an evil presence surged from Noah and Nia. Dozens of runts were instantly killed and turned to ash. The atmosphere around the two changed. Their presence changed. The biggest change of the two was that a pair of sinister black horns emerged from the sides of their heads, curling around like a goat's. Ooh! How demonic! Ahahaha! At the sudden change, the vampires were stunned, and even I was caught by surprise. Nia holds up her sword in front of her, and cut dozens of the runts in half with a single swing, absorbing their life forces and souls. Their power flowed from Nia to Noah. Noah roared out with a dragon-like breath, reducing hundreds of runts to ash as he released the power. How terrifying these children are. Even for something with the setting of a greater spirit of the demon realm, this is too much. Noah's setting is an incubus. He is able to release. Nia's setting is a succubus. She has the capacity to absorb. Of course, with their age, the 18+ setting is prohibited, but even so, their fighting power is very high. The two outside, were they also this deadly? TL, elongate this yourself, as you is impossible to do that to in writing. Oh my Milan has finally broken, plunging towards me while shouting incomprehensible things. Things like you what? Or get out. You I don't get it. I dodged Milan's attack with her sharp claws. Noah noticed and was about to come back, but I held out my hand to tell him to stop. Milan, will you keep the weak me company? Don't mess around with me. This child, how touchy. At first, Milan thought that this would just be some entertaining prey hunting. When the girl had the boldness to provoke her while knowing her true nature, she used some sort of blackout spell, one which even the Count, in his 500 years of life, hadn't seen. While these were surprising, she was still just a human. Even if she was referred to as a saint, there should have been a limit. The first surprise was the transformation of two of her servants. They should have just been human children, but after transforming, they destroyed hundreds of runts with magic power. Things like that were impossible. Those demons, a high-level demon like that needed a higher cost to manifest. Even with natural talent, doing that would take perhaps hundreds of years. No, it would take thousands of years of study. When did they appear? When did they possess those human children? Where did the Countess go? Could it be that the other two, inhuman, children were giving her trouble? Could she have used her position as princess of the Holy Kingdom to do a demon summoning at a gigantic scale? No, the Holy Kingdom wouldn't allow such a thing. She thought about whether there was an evil tool passed down in the Duke's family which could control demons. The tool would have to be legendary class to manipulate these many, and even if it existed it should have been securely sealed away. I should withdraw. The Count and Milan, the Countess would run from those other two later. But the abilities of those two were unknown. They didn't know what would happen. That was when the Count thought to himself, to be accompanied by such a demon, that saint. Just who is Russia? A simple human girl would not be able to continuously dodge Milan's attacks. 200 years is a long life for a greater vampire. No matter how many dozens of average knights, she could split their shields with her bare hands, snap their swords, and bring forth enough force to instantly crush their armor. Unless, is she a hero? The Count discarded that stupid idea and shook his head. Once every several hundred years, the hero would appear in the Holy Kingdom to drive out the evil forces of the country. Surely the hero wouldn't walk alongside demons. The same was true of the saint, but what if she wasn't a saint? On the contrary, it can't be. Sweat flowed profusely from the Count's forehead. What if the girl wasn't human, but another high-ranking demon that was being accompanied by more demons? But what kind of existence could possibly have so much power to control an archdemon? The Count watched Milan attack the little girl, and noticed Milan's butlers and maids. Why weren't they helping her? No, they were going to help, but each time they moved to strike, they held back, entranced by the beauty of Russia, and stopping in their tracks. The Count thought that it was charm, but that was wrong. He immediately changed his thoughts. It's said that a demon charms a human, but in fact, demons don't have any power to charm. What had charmed the vampires was not the performance. It was a kind of magic a long-lived vampire would spend their nearly endless life creating. It was triggered by line of sight, and used without casting a spell. Moreover, the effect was weak. It could not overturn antagonistic feelings. It can't be. It can't be. Such a ridiculous power. In the 500 years of the Count's life, he had talked about higher-ranking demons with human sages. Legend had it that of all the demons in the past, there was only a single demon that could charm others. It had beauty far surpassing that of a human. After living for thousands of years, and by clutching the souls of countless people, it understood the human mind, having a cold sort of beauty which turned people away. Wrapped in a soft caring understanding of the human mind, it charmed all the beings around it, purely in its existence. This demon had knowledge called knowledge of another world, obtained over a long time, communicating with wise men on a whim, bringing chaos to the people of the world. That existence, the devil. If that was the case, this thing was from an entirely different league than vampires. They would not be able to flee even if he and Milan combined their power. At the time the Count thought this, he began to run from Milan's battle. "Where are you going?" "There." Girl demon suddenly moved her sword towards him, and as soon as the black sword swung down, the thoughts of the Count were enveloped in darkness. "You bastard!" At the sight of near killing the Count with a single sword strike, Milan yelled out in rage. "What's this? Milan-chan? Are you angry?" "Obviously." "Oh my. What's this? Let's have the good miss settle down a little. It really is narrow here. Since I'm just a little stronger, won't all of you die?" At my sudden voice, Noah and Nia, who had finished their annihilation, looked back with frightened faces. I grabbed Milan by her attacking arm and collected demonic magic power in my fist, my consciousness spinning the words in the Holy Spirit language. Tjuranuk. Tsu. Using the energy, I grabbed Milan's arm and fly up, flinging a fist against the bedrock roof of the cave. Bon. Pure demonic magic power used to speak the Holy Spirit language. The effects of the magic punched right through the rock ceiling, making a strangely comedic sound. Oh well, the only goofy thing was the sound. The caves have been partially destroyed, and while it was good that I used some energy to leap off the ground, Milan has fallen into a terrible state since I grabbed her arm, screaming all the while. Crud, I was too reckless with my movements. There's not much magic power left. Cough, cough. Milan, who came out with me into the sky, grew out her own bat wings, flying in the sky while coughing from the dust. But she survived. Huh. Excellent, excellent. Her dress is in tatters. How erotic. Looking around, her eyes widened as she saw me. I had my own wings too. My golden bat wings expanded for flight. By the way, my dress wasn't torn up. Obviously, I would never do such a thing as let the dress father bought me get ruined. You. What's with that appearance? Milan quickly stopped her voice and looks at me vigilantly. She's finally cautious of me. I concentrate my magic power and laughed lightly as my eyes turned deep crimson and my fangs emerged. Well, I am a demon, after all. Demon. After explaining, Milan seemed to calm down, rather than be surprised again. Certainly the existence of a human child who could earnestly avoid Milan's attacks as a vampire would destroy her self-confidence. Hey Tilda, Milan. What is it? With a powerful demon in front of her, Milan took up a listening posture. Now I'm unsatisfied. Please be my subordinate. Ha? Milan's cautious face suddenly became messed up. I wouldn't have said such a thing if there was no chance. What kind of idiot? Do you think I am? Well, just being friends would be all right. What? As I give my demand plainly, Milan has a confused face, her mouth hanging open. A breath goes by. Else, die? After that, I give her an exciting deal. Since I'm a demon, Milan looks at my demonic appearance, then the large hole in the ground. After a moment of silence, heaving a large sigh, she speaks. Got it, I will. Be your friend. Yes, there's a good place to land around here. Actually, I was dangerously close to running out of magic power. I might have lost if I seriously fought with Milan. It's my own stupid fault. You're not angry anymore? I'm not angry. I thought a lowly human was making a fool out of me and that I had been betrayed by the Count and that lot so quickly. Milan sighs as if she's given up something. As I thought. When Nia destroyed the Count, her anger was less than from my fooling with her. I figured as much. Somehow, for the time being, please take care of me, Milan. Yes, yes. Good luck to you, Yarushia-sama. Thus, the vampire threat closing in on the Holy Kingdom was resolved, with nobody being the wiser. But I am sorry, Milan. Your life, I'll only be using it as education for my servants. Though I won't tell. Chapter 16. I turned 7 years old, and then, it's been quite difficult ever since that moonlit tea party. When I was about to run out of magic in the air, Fanny saw me floating around up there and went up to get me safely to the ground. It would have been seriously uncool asking Milan to help me down. At the same time, it seems a localized earthquake shook the area. The locals who woke up in the middle of the night made a lot of noise and started praying to the goddess, and some fights started, until some of Milan's maids who survived the rock collapse began a banquet to appease the residents. You guys, you sure take this seriously. And maybe it wasn't my fault. The main problem was getting home. When we came here I thought it was fast because the horse-drawn carriage was drawn by a vampire horse, but because taking care of the commotion from the earthquake took until dawn, returning by that method became impossible. However, since Tina and Fanny could recover their magic from taking in souls, I was able to fly back at full speed by grabbing onto those 4. Vampire souls aren't tasty. By the way, that day, in a number of towns and villages, there was apparently a sighting of an unidentified shiny gold object flying through the air. That was how we arrived back at the Vyuzen estate before breakfast. However, as I secretly returned to my room, Vio was waiting for me. Although I had told her that I'd be going out, she didn't think that I meant I would come home only in the morning, so she was very angry with us all. Even though I'm a demon, Princess Yaru. Yup. My retinue, demons, stood at attention with a bisha sound. They kneeled before me in perfect order. Their faces were unconventional. Instead of being relaxed, they were showing a tense expression full of complicated feelings. Even Fanny and Nia were maintaining a sense of tension, which was showing in the calm atmosphere. I don't want kids like these. The heck, Yaru? What kind of ritual did you carry out to make this happen? It's a secret. It's a maiden's secret. Those children have been relatively quiet. Is it because they're mostly demon? I had thought that because they would inherit the memories of the souls, there wouldn't be a problem with them working. Far from having no mistakes, they were too perfect. Especially Noah and Tina. Even Granny has admired the amount of work they've done. They may soon be taken in as apprentices. Why can't I do that? And so, I turned 7 years old. My birthday party was split into 2 chunks. Why? The first was held 2 days before my birthday in the royal castle, and the very next morning we were forced to depart on a super tight schedule to make it to the party in the Toru territory, which was held on the day itself. It can't be helped that Shelley and Betty were both rolled into the forced March schedule since I invited them to both. Both Timothy Kun and Rick came to the party at the castle, and had raised their quality of the tributes from last year. These bonbon brats. TL. Bonbon is a Japanese term for rich young gentleman. I invited Milan to the party at the Toru territory, since it was at night. She didn't come to the royal castle event. Or rather, she had hardly participated in any parties, since Milan herself was ever only doing her own tea party in recent years. The participation of the Silver Princess has caused quite a fine commotion. As planned, after she arrived and greeted me, the number of greetings that I had to deal with decreased. Thank you, Milan. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. With this, even if she wasn't already a friend, I might have wanted her anyway. Yeah, Russia, it has been decided that you will be giving the first-year representatives greeting to the Magic Academy. Huh? What kind of stupid thing did you just say, Grandfather Sama? As soon as my age changed and I was qualified to enter the Magic Academy, the king said as such. Normally, there is no greeting from the first-year representative during the entrance ceremony of the Magic Academy. That is how it was supposed to be. I seem to remember hearing that a long time ago. The adults abolished it since it was far too difficult for a 7-year-old noble to give such a speech. It had caused many of them to have trauma. What kind of greeting was that? The voice of authority from grandfather had revived the practice. Grandfather, you stupid old man. It's nothing but a giant annoyance. During the great earthquake in Count Obu's territory, didn't the Air Russia play an active role in resolving it? The school principal was on board as well, and even suggested that you use holy magic from the dais. After all that commotion from the earthquake, who felt more or less responsible, helped to treat the injured. There seemed to have been children that were caught up in the second demon summoning case that came out to where I was. I denied it at first, but then, Milan took over the count's post after his accidental death in the earthquake. There was no body, so there were some problems with the accidental death claim. I was made to testify that I was with her at the time. Elisama got really angry at me after that. There were all sorts of rumors of how the headmaster wanted me to give the speech no matter what. When my name was used during Milan's succession, even Grandfather Sama was bothered. Well, it can't be helped. I hate it. Today is the Magic Academy entrance ceremony. Rather than having a campus in the Toru territory, all of the precious children of the aristocracy go to the academy in the royal capital. I'm no exception. Mother and Granny and our escort knights all went to our second house in the royal capital before the new year began. What about my sisters? Last year, they began studying with my Aunt Sama in our neighboring country. The first-year representative, Yerusha Lava will now give her greetings. Yes, the tension is pretty low. Walking up to the stage with my heart in a pitter-patter, I reached the podium where Mother and Father is watching me while Shelley and Betty, who were in the same uniform, gave me a small wave from their seats. Those two, their uniforms are so cute. We all wear the same uniform, so why is it that I'm the only one where my classmates keep their distance? I'm omitting the contents of my greeting. People I barely knew were watching it with pleased eyes. Such looks from just acquaintances. Most of the people who saw me for the first time had looks of surprise on their face, and didn't seem to hear my speech. Listen properly. No, wait, it's all right even if you don't listen. I wonder if I'll be able to get along in this school, but you know, I've decided to live in this country as both a human and a demon. In the light as their princess of the Holy Kingdom, from the darkness, receiving some support from the old men in the aristocracy. From the darkness in the darkness, from the darkest places, I will protect what is important to me as their demon princess. These students at my school, these developing youths, these human children, are very, very important. I'll save you. Even though I'm a demon. All of you who are dear to me, blessings to everyone. At my words, the entrance hall was filled with a huge light, and in the hall, countless angels of light danced. There, intermediate spirits of light gathered, and an enormous archangel of light manifested, blessing everyone present. Screams of confusion erupted from the audience. After the sudden, violent outburst, naturally, the entrance ceremony was stopped there. The first-year greeting was again abolished from the Magic Academy starting that next year. I've done it again.